Buddy. Man, what's really good though, family tree? Let me know that you're actually inside the building with me right about now by simply just hitting the like button. Hit the like button right now. Also, do me a grand favor and just let me know that you're in the building with me. So just, drop some comments in the comment section. Let me know that you're here. I know I see you straight there. You're saying, finally, is it you that messaged me today? Because there's a few people that have been asking me about this show. Like, when are you going to do it? When are you going to finally get to finish off this particular element of the show? Last time, I don't know if you guys have actually watched it. The last show was actually in regards to this particular topic in terms of the age of Aisha. This is kind of what we're going in today. Today is the age of Aisha, debunking it basically. And we're going to do the last edition to it. We did an hour show last time. It's called The Age of Aisha Debunked, an Academic Appraisal, right? That's the actual title of the show. It was a fantastic show, by the way, absolutely fantastic show. We got into quite a lot of information, right? And I didn't actually get to finish it. I just kind of laid the foundation. I see you guys saying, Scala, gang, 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 gang. So yeah, we laid the foundation of that particular show, and we're actually finally going to get to finish it now, like finally get to finish it. So just to recap, what we actually did on that last show was this. Let me just quickly go to my note section. So the last one, we basically we went through the common objectives in terms of the age of Aisha. When the common objectives, when I say the common objectives, it how can I put it? Sorry, common objections. When we're arguing with certain individuals or this topic comes up, usually our good Muslim brothers, speak school and elsewhere would tell you, oh, it's the cultural norm. Oh no, girls matured faster back then. The age of a 9-year-old had the mental capacity of a 18-year-old or something along those lines, or body capacity of such. Oh, Aisha was physically mature. Oh, Aisha reached the age of puberty and menstruation. No one complained. This was the norm. So we went through all of those particular objections that Muslims, tend to have, in terms of the age of Aisha and why we don't find it appropriate. I gave all counter objections to those basically, and I put forward counter arguments to those, which was very powerful. The first one was prove that it was the cultural norm. Where you can't prove it's the cultural norm, by showing me records during the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him and his family, and prior. There's no records of such. Whereas I was showing you evidence of individuals that were being married off at the time. For example, the Prophet was being married off at the age of 25. Ali was being married off at the age of 21. Ruqayya, Kulthum, Fatima, Zainab. Okay, these are the daughters of the Prophet, was all being married off roughly around the age of 18. So I can give you real world examples during that time frame where it wasn't the cultural norm. The cultural norm wasn't to get married at 6 years of age or 9 years of age. No, the cultural norm was to get married after puberty or a very late stage in your life. Okay, we went through, girls matured faster back then. We showed you via academic research, basically, that back in the day, girls were having their puberty at a much later age. Only in 1840 they were having their periods at the age of 16. But because we're in a much more developed world right now, where we can get the nutrients and the calories and everything else that we need, or women or girls need to develop their bodies, they're now maturing or having their periods as early as 13 and 12. All right, so this is a kind of a new phenomenon based upon our living standards. So we went through all of that. We went through on Aisha was physically mature. We showed that no, that wasn't the case. The women back then were eating less and was very thin based upon Aisha's account herself. We talked about Aisha, did she reach the age of puberty and menstruation? Like, show me, prove again. You're making the claim, but can you prove it to me? No, you can't prove that Aisha actually reached the age of puberty based upon your narrative of 9 years old. No, according to Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, he was saying no, she didn't actually reach the age of puberty. She didn't even actually menstruate at that age. In his Fatul Bar, we brought this up, we showed it as well. Others will come with other scholars to give counter arguments and so forth. You're more than welcome to come along. The last one was nobody complained. This was the norm. We spoke about that not actually being the norm. And, there was late records of somebody trying to marry at a very, trying to marry a girl at a very young age. And they object based upon the girl being too young, which was 11 years of age, which was 2 years older than Aisha herself. Or even when you're talking about 6 years old, that means 5 years older than Aisha. So it wasn't even the cultural norm back then. And yes, we had evidences of, other schools of thoughts, the Shafi school of thought, Imam Malik's school of thought. This wasn't something that was practiced. Okay, puberty was the age when, or when a girl can actually, consent to marriage and so forth. So we showed that no, this wasn't a cultural norm, and no people would have complained during that time frame. So these aren't really good arguments at all. So we showed that, we went through all of that. Afterwards, we spoke about the different hadiths themselves and went into quite a lot of depth. But I would like to just kind of recap for some of you guys who wasn't actually there or didn't get to tune in. I presented an argumentation of this, or sorry, it was a thought experiment, should I say. The thought experiment was basically this, okay? I'm going to repeat again so we can get back into the flow of it, okay? So the thought experiment was this. So if your closest, most trustworthy friend said that his auntie or her auntie confided in them and disclosed that your particular father, your actually father who gave birth to you, yeah, or gave the seed for you to be born, yeah, had sexual relations with her when she was the age of 10 years old, okay? So this is your closest, most trustworthy friend, yeah, their auntie confided in them to tell that, while they were at the age of 10 years old, that your father had sex with them, okay? And your father, I'm assuming, would have been 40 years old, or roughly, let's say 40 years old. I asked that question, what would you do? Would you A, reject the claim as false? Okay, so is it false? Would you B, accept it unquestionably as true? Or C, withhold judgment and investigate? So we went through that. And we asked the audience to please post up A, B, or C. Which one would you do? Which one would you do? Which one would you do? And I'm sure that you guys are going to have some good stuff. So based upon, if we were in a court of law today, or if we were in a police, if somebody, said that, yes, such and such father, done this to me and so forth. Okay, this isn't cause enough for somebody to be arrested or for an investigation to actually take place at all. There needs to be evidence. Right now, this just amounts to hearsay. So it's a case that's going to be thrown out unless you provide evidence, or unless you provide witnesses, or unless you provide some type of circumstantial evidence to state that this was an actual possibility. So in that sense, we're actually saying, okay, if this is done in our modern days and times, we also showed it in the Quran where it was kind of the same thing. We went into Surah 24 verses 12, and we spoke about when somebody lays a claim or a slander upon you or upon another individual, on somebody within inside of your community, you should reject it as false straight away. But why should you reject it as false? Because if you know you yourself wouldn't have done it, okay, and these individuals are supposedly better than you or greater than you or have better moral standing than you, then why would you come on, man, it doesn't sound right? So reject it and wait for those individuals to provide evidence or provide witness statements to say that it did actually happen. Once they do that, that's when you can actually formally start your investigation, because you have something to actually investigate, right? So that's kind of like the Quranic principles themselves. It kind of teaches you that. But unfortunately, nowadays, and nowadays, also, if you go to Quran 49 verse 6, it gives you another, let me actually share my screen, because I've got some beautiful sources here that nobody's really getting to see but myself. So another one here, chapter 49 verse 6, it says here, "Oh, you who have believed, if there comes to you a disobedient one with information, investigate." It says disobedient, but really and truly in some manuscripts with a variance, it's really saying somebody who's sent out with information, okay, or sent out with news, okay. You should investigate it, basically, lest you harm people out of ignorance and become over what you have done regretful. So right now, for me personally, I'm hearing a lot of these people that accept things to be true without actually investigating, which is actually hurting my heart, because I'm listening to grown individuals, grown men, speaking on certain subjects, and grown men are causing a lot of harm, okay, in the sense that they're telling the wider community that it's okay for a 9-year-old to sleep with a 40-year-old or 50-year-old and so forth. It's huh? What are you actually saying? I know you're trying to protect the honor of your prophet and stuff, but in the real world, practical life, that don't make no sense, but you're gonna fight it. And if I said, okay, you know what, Kalam will actually, convert to Islam if you give me your 8 to 10-year-old daughter. No, furthermore, give me your 6 to 10-year-old daughter. All right, I promise you, I would convert to Islam. Astaghfirullah. I would convert to Islam if you give me your 6 to 10 year old daughter to get married to them. Like, I don't think anybody in their right minds would do it. You never know. Tomorrow I might be wearing a kufi because somebody says, "Here you go, here's my daughter." But like, really, like, nobody like now in today's world who is of right sane mind in terms of like living in the UK would ever give their 6 to 10 year old daughter to somebody like me who's only like I'm in my 30s. Be like, you wouldn't even do it to me, or let alone a 40-year-old or 50-year-old man. So like, come on, let's think. That is something strange, right? There is something practically strange going on, but we'll discuss it a little bit later on. So, and again, I'm saying that a lot of people are actually being harmed by this because this is like become part of like customs and practices in particular people's culture all over Africa and Asia and other places of the world, where young girls, like young 10-year-old, 9-year-old girls, are actually engaging in sexual relationship with big men, like 40-year-old men, and it's actually harming their private parts. They're actually a lot of people are dying out of this. A lot of young girls are dying out of underage pregnancy and things of that nature. So already, like, you haven't even investigated certain things, and it is already causing a lot of harm in certain cultures in certain countries. So I'm just saying, like, if you don't know this, okay, if we're speaking about the age of Aisha, you yourself don't actually know the age of Aisha, yourself, because you haven't actually investigated, but you're simply accepting it because it's in Bukhari or because it's in Muslim or because it's in the Sahih Sitter. You're simply accepting it without no investigation. And I'm trying to get everybody to start doing in the investigation, right? That's what we really need to get to. And I'm saying this to Muslims and non-Muslims alike, right? Because although Muslims claim this, right, like it depends. If some of us are here to, I don't know, do relentless attacks on the other group, i.e. Muslims, yeah, if we're just here to do that, then I understand you're gonna latch onto this, okay, and you're gonna throw this at them like constantly, like you're stoning them with this particular embarrassing segment. I would say this very embarrassing segment inside of the historical texts of Muslims. I know you can stone them all day long, but I hope that some of us are here for the actual truth, like want to know the truth, right? Okay, I want to know. I want us to be truth seekers, right? Even if it's for us or against us, at least let us seek the truth, right? Okay, we could still say, for example, if you're really that way inclined, some of us, may be against Muslims. Even if you're that way inclined, at least say it's your narration, like, separate narration from the truth, right? So there is a reality and then there is other people's conceptualization. So at least separate and say, like, well, after this, like, I know this is in your narration. I know this is what you accept, and this is what I'm going to attack you, rather than it being a reality, because I'm going to show you how it's not actually a reality. I'm going to go into some powerful depths with that as well. My good Shia brothers was on to me like, yeah, this is all down to Aisha. And I'm like, yo, I'm feeling you, my Rafidi brothers, yeah. But again, like, I'm sorry, I can't even say this is down to Aisha herself. Like, and, I would love for it to be that way for you brothers, but I can't even do that. I can't even, go against my integrity, go against scholarship and say it that way. I got to give you the truth and show you, objectively as I possibly can. Of course, I may have my own biases in there, and I would love, for you guys to, if you see it, spot it, pull me up on it. Definitely, I'm going to show you my methodology. I'm going to show you the things that I've read, so you yourself can have a nice literature review. You can see my methodology, and if you can spot any mistakes, you can pull me up on it, fact check me, critique me, and help me to improve my own particular research itself. Right? I know a lot of people, out there, they're scared of being wrong. No, we welcome being wrong. We welcome being criticized, and I'm saying this as part of the Titans TV tribe. If we are wrong, yeah, we don't want to be wrong and strong. We want others to actually be able to spot our wrongness, yeah, and be able to correct us. So we've learned from our mistakes. We want to actually learn from our mistakes. We want to get better. It's not all about being right. That's to do with the ego, and we see that a lot of speakers go and everybody's there pushing their own propaganda. We're not about that, all right? We're here for the truth, and we're here for bettering ourselves and improving the way we think and the way we interrelate and interact with one another. All right, so let me go into it. I'm doing some long prolong speech right about now. So there was a few other hadiths that I actually wanted to make mention. There is a few others, but I don't know if I've got time for that. All right. Nah, let me do this one last one. I like this particular hadith. I didn't actually bring this up before, but this is a nice hadith that I actually loved. Okay, so this is when Munkar and Nakir actually comes. Okay, the two angels. Some say that they're black in appearance. They come, and some say that they're scary looking angels. They come to you in your grave, right? They come to you in your grave, and they sit you up and they ask you three questions. And these are the three questions that when you see me, Gabs, and others coming to Speaker's Corner, we usually ask three questions pertaining. When we're discussing religion or Islam, we usually talk about like who is Allah, or who is your Rabb, who is your your prophet, and what is your deen, what is your religion. Usually these are the three areas of topics we usually address. But anyways, that's for another day. Anyway, so it says here, what did you say? What did you used to say about this man Muhammad? So they'll ask him like who is Muhammad? Let's see the Arabic here. Yeah. Who is like basically what do you say about this man Muhammad? Okay. All right. Who is this man Muhammad, or what do you say about this man Muhammad? Okay. Give me your summary of this individual. Okay. And it says here, I kind of skipped. Okay. So this is me skipping the hadith. It's quite a long hadith right here. It says here, a non-believer or a hypocrite, right? So a non-believer, a kafir, okay, or a munafiq, okay, would actually say what? I do not know, but I used to say what the people used to say. It will be said to him, neither did you know, nor did you turn from your course or take guidance. Okay, so what's saying right here, yeah, is a lot of Muslims right now, okay, and I'm gonna stick it on my good Muslim brothers right now, yeah. A lot of the things that you're claiming on the Prophet itself, okay, it's not something that you actually know. It's something that you're just following along with, and you're usually following along it from reading certain books, or your scholars or your imams are saying certain things, but you yourself haven't actually taken the time out to do the research. And just imagine, right? I'm actually taking the time out to do the research for you guys, right? And once you know this information, right, and if you turn away from this information, god damn, you're going to be held accountable. That's what I'm going to say to you. I'm bad like that. I'm putting you lot on notice right about now, right? So anyways, let me go into this, okay? So last time we went into the different chains, right? We went into the different chains. We basically showed, let's see if I can do this, there was a perfect, let's see, you know what? Why am I not actually on game today? What's going on? What's the panel saying anyway? What's everybody talking about? Kalam, do you believe in reincarnation? London, Yoruba, what is origin? Is it from Kemet? I see you go in, okay, in the comment section. So let me quickly do this real nice and easy, okay? Because I was on Dr. Jonathon Brown page, yeah, and he had an awesome, and this is actually due to Mufti Abu Layth. Actually, he kind of put me onto this. Even though I did see, his video before, Dr. Jonathon Brown, okay, but he did something that was wonderful, right? This is like a nice not artistic, but it's a nice breakdown of the chains, okay, of the Asanid, okay. It's a nice breakdown of the chains, right? So right here, we have the different chains, right? But let me quickly do this. So this is the 5 chains, like sorry, not 5. There is 1, 2, 3. Okay, yeah, so there's 3 different chains, basically. Out of the 9, okay, let me start again, okay? So there's 19 different hadiths, okay, inside of the Sahih Sitta, okay? So there's 19. This is all of them literally here. Like all of the 19 different chains are literally here, or 19 different hadiths are all here, okay? And there's different chains, okay, linking to these 19 different hadiths. And you'll find these hadiths, okay, in certain books, such as Sahih Muslim. You'll find in Al-Nasai, Bukhari, Ibn Majah. Who are we missing out here? I think we're missing out somebody else as well, okay? So this is the Sahih Sitta that we're talking about, okay? So we went into them and we saw the different hadiths. But I basically said that, out of the 19, there is 5 different hadiths that's going through a different chain in reference to the 14, okay? There's 14 chains that are literally coming through Urwa, or should I say 13 chains coming through Urwa via Hisham. Okay, there's 13 different chains all splintering off that's find this way into different books, right? There's the 14th one, which is that goes through Zori via Urwa. But there is another 5, basically, 5 different hadiths with 3 different chains that goes elsewhere as well. And I basically show that each one of these chains, okay, are actually weak. All right. And I broke down why they're weak. You know, first of all, they're all gharib chains. Okay. Gharib literally means that they're very, how can I put it? They're strange chains. Like they're only like one person is in the chain. Like, look over here. Only Yahya ibn Abd al-Rahman is in it. Only Ibn Amr is in it. Only Yahya ibn Zakaria is in it. Only up here Abdullah ibn Amir is in it. This is like a strange chain. Like, why isn't it not diffused? Why isn't Yahya not giving it to somebody else? Why isn't Ibn Amr giving it to someone else? Why is it just like this sole chain that's making its way? It's a very suspect chain. And we showed that even the hadith scholars themselves, the muhaddithin, basically showed that this particular chain was Hassan. All right, well, we digged into it and we saw that there was a lot of da'if individuals within the chains, or people who was regarded as munkar. So we rejected it. We said that this is a very weak chain. Then there's another chain that's going through al-Aswad, okay? Through, over here it's got Nakhai, but it doesn't say Nakhai at all. It actually says Ibrahim, okay? And we know that Al-Amish was a very known individual for tadlis, okay? And he was known as a mudalis, basically. He was known as mudalis, basically somebody who, you know, ascribes his sheikh, or says that he heard it from this person when he really didn't hear it from this person, which actually weakens, you know, this particular chain that's going through Al-Aswad, that finds its way in Al-Nasai and also in Sahih Muslim. It weakens that chain, full stop. All right, so we weakened it, we kind of rejected it for now. All right, then there was another one which is going through Abu Ubaidah, through his father Abdullah. And that chain as well was Mursal. Okay, it was Mursal. Then there was a bit of tadlis that was being done, because it was saying that Abu Ubaidah, you know, heard directly from Aisha when he was getting it from his father, and even his father doesn't say that he heard from Aisha. So we weakened, you know, 5 different hadiths that has 3 different chains, basically. We weakened it, we threw it away. And this is kind of like a visual representative of these particular chains, right? So we weakened it, we threw it away. And you'll have to kind of look at the last show to actually see exactly what we did. I don't want to actually do it again because I don't want to make the show too long, so to speak. I don't want to make the show too long. So I'm going to just keep it real simple and just say we weakened it, right? But now, I'm actually going to go into what I missed out, which was the 14 different hadiths inside of the Sahih Sitta, right? There is 14 different hadiths that's inside of the Sahih Sitta. And I actually collected all of the, let me just quickly do this, because you get for those people who actually want to fact check me, you get an awesome time to actually look through. This is the Asanid. Okay, these are the different chains, basically. I know this might not make a lot of sense to a lot of people. I apologize, but I've just got to show this for some people who are willing to actually fact check me. All right, so you have the different chains that you find in Bukhari. There's 4 different hadiths in Bukhari that speaks on the age of Aisha. Actually, there is 5th one, but we're going to speak about that later. Then in Muslim, you got another 3 different chains. Then in Abi Dawud, you have another 1. You have in Nasai, you have 6 different chains. And Ibn Majah, you have another 1, basically, okay? And we kind of went through all of these different chains. We went through all of these different chains. I weakened them. As you can see here, okay, you can see this chain has been weakened from Abu Ubaidah because it's coming from Abdullah, which was known as Mursal. This is found in Nasai. And then then also Abu Ubaidah is known to do Irsal, meaning he narrates stuff from his father when he never actually, you know, from Aisha, but he never actually got it from Aisha, or his father never got it from Aisha. So we went through all of these things already. I'm not even going to go back into it. We show that Al-Amish was a Mudalis, and then he has 2 different ones inside of Sahih Muslim and Nasai, and they are also should be rejected or they are also Mardud, rejected, because based upon him being a Mudalis. We also went into this one here, which is Grade Hassan. We showed that this individual, Muslim, never put him into his work. Ibn Hazm said that he's da'if. You know, few people said that this particular individual was thicker. Others said that he was munkar. Okay, though Ahmed said that he was Munkar. So we show that like every single one that's coming outside of Hisham ibn Urwa's chain, we show them all to be weak itself, right? So now we're actually going to go into Hisham ibn Urwa's actual chain. That's what we're going to do right now. We're going to go into Hisham ibn Urwa's one, all right? Let me see. Is everybody with me though? Like, I don't want to be losing everybody, okay? Let me know, is everybody actually with me? Yes or no, okay? Let me know. Why are we debating a fairy story? Okay. Let me know down below that you're actually with me. I don't want to lose anybody, right? I'm fearing losing everybody right now. I want to make sure that everybody's with me. And if you're not actually with me, please go and check back the last show, okay, on this particular topic, right? If you check back the last show, you will get up to speed, all right? But now I'm going to go into it because this is something that everybody's kind of been waiting for, and I want to make sure that you lot are with me and you're lot learning this information, right? So, yeah, there was the 14 different hadiths themselves. Let me quickly go into it and yeah. All right. So there was the 14 different hadiths. All right. Perfect. Okay. So there's 14 different hadiths. Okay. And what I'm going to say, and they're all originating from Urwa via Hisham. Okay. Urwa via Hisham. All right. So I'm going to go into them real quickly. So we have the 14 different chains. You can all check this up on sunnah.com. Let me just quickly show you because I know I've done this all before. But real quickly, Aisha 9 marriage. That's all you need to do, okay? So if you type in Aisha 9 and marriage, you'll find the 19 different hadith within inside of the Sahih Sittah, okay? This is so easy. Everybody, you know, if you've got a computer and you can go into sunnah.com, you could all do this yourself, right? So basically what I did, I collated all of the different hadiths and I collated all of the different chains, and I actually done a proper bath, okay, which is a research or an investigation upon the chains and upon the matan itself, upon the text itself, right? But I'm not going to do it all again and show you what I did. I'm just going to show you this is what you can do. You can go there yourself and can check it out yourself, right? All right. So in here, okay, I'm going to show you Bukhari right now, okay? So I'm going to show you the chain, I'm going to show you the hadith, okay? And I'm going to show you, you know, what I found by actually investigating this hadith or this chain, right? I could go into, okay, technically speaking, all right, when we're investigating, we usually start off with the chain itself, right? We usually start off with the chain, and we usually search for two things. We usually search for whether there is sabt, okay, or sakt, sorry, whether there is omission from the text, i.e. omission from the chain, meaning is there somebody in the chain that, you know, has been omitted? Like, is the chain been messed up somehow, basically? Okay, is the chain been messed up? All right. So is there somebody who is, I'm not going to, let me not go into too much detail because I don't want to lose anybody again. All right. So then there's a second thing that we do also, which is ta'an, which is investigation of whether these people are actually thicker, whether they're saduq, whether they're dabt, whether they're, you know, da'if, whether they're munkar, whether they're mutruk, whether they're, you know, khadib, whether they're liars, etc. Like we go through all of it just to see the adla and the what? The adla meaning the, you know, are they just individuals? And then the dabt, whether their retentiveness, whether their memory is good, basically. We go into all of these things to kind of find out, you know, do we take hadiths from these individuals, okay? And then obviously we also go into the matan, the text itself, to see if there is any mukhtilaf, whether there is any shad, any difficulty with inside of the text itself. Like, does it contradict with other hadiths? Or does it contradict with the Quran even? Does it contradict with established principles inside of the Sunnah or Islam itself? Does it contradict with other riwayah, other thiqh riwayah, other trustworthy narrations and narrators? You know, does it conflict at all? So there's all these different things that you can do to investigate, and I'm going to try to keep it like real simple as possible so we can all kind of get along with it. All right. So over here, I'm going to show you something which is very, very interesting, right? So over here, most people, like, don't even realize this, okay? And this is in Bukhari, which makes it worse. Bukhari means that all of the chains should be mutasil, okay? Mutasil literally means connected. Like there shouldn't be a broken link with inside of the chain, but we're gonna find loads of broken links with inside of the chain, which is gonna like make you think like, huh? How did this actually make it into the Sahih itself? Crazy. Anyways, it says here, narrated Hisham's father, Khadija died 3 years before the Prophet departed to Al-Medina. He stayed there for 2 years or so, and then he wrote the marriage contract with Aisha when she was a girl of 6 years of age, and he consumed that marriage when she was 9 years old. Now, you know, there is defect. What do they call this? They call this illa. I can't remember. Illal or illa. Okay, they call this a defect within inside of the chain, and the reason why this is actually defected is because this individual is narrating something that he wasn't actually alive at the time to even know about. Okay, and he couldn't possibly get this, from the Prophet. Okay, so this doesn't go back to the Prophet himself. This is him just narrating something that doesn't go back to the Prophet, doesn't go back to, it doesn't even state that it goes back to a companion, basically. He's just narrating this, and it's impossible for him to actually narrate this because he was born like literally a good 5 years after the Prophet's death. So how does he know this information? How do you connect this back to anybody? He's just narrating this for himself. This right here is known as mursal. Okay, mursal meaning it is loose. The chain is loose. It doesn't connect back to a companion or the Prophet itself, right? So it's known as mursal. Technically speaking, this by itself makes it da'if, right? This by itself literally makes it weak, right? But somehow it's made it into Bukhari. Anyways, and again, let me just do this again. Look, narrated Urwa. The Prophet wrote the marriage contract with Aisha while she was 6 years old and consumed his marriage while she was 9 years old. All right, again, mursal. Okay, it doesn't link it back to Aisha. Aisha is not telling him these things at all. He's just saying these things, right? So a lot of the times when individuals are telling you that yes, the Prophet married Aisha at the age of 9 years old or 6 years old, you're like, but hold on. You do realize that the Prophet never actually co-signed this, right? The Prophet never said, I married Aisha at 9 years old. If he does, can you please provide the evidence where he says, I married Aisha at 9 years of age? And if they say, yes, he does, you know already that they're lying. But you said, okay, you bide your time, you be patient, you be like, okay, please just show me where. Please just show me. And they'll be umming and ahhing and trying to find, and they will know that it's not actually there. Then they'll say to you, yes, but Aisha said it. And you're like, okay, hold on, now show me where Aisha actually said it. Now, the reality is there are places where it says Aisha said it, but in reality, it's actually coming from Urwa. This is actually the source of all of this. Urwa is saying this, not Aisha herself, okay? Not Aisha. This is all coming from Urwa. Now, we'll carry on and we'll see this in operation again. Look, now there's something called tadlis is going on right now. So in the chain, right, you're now seeing, basically Hisham ibn Urwa is now saying this on the authority or from his father, and then on the authority or from Aisha. Okay, and this is very interesting, okay, because now this is added extra to the text, which wasn't there before, and we're going to spot that it's tadlis here by doing simple things, okay, by just literally reading it. It says here, narrated Aisha that the Prophet wrote the marriage contract with her when she was 6 years old, and he consummated his marriage when she was 9 years old. We're going to stop there. What we notice again here is that this is all narrated from Urwa again. But if you look at it, it's exactly the same wording, that the Prophet wrote the marriage contract with Aisha while she was 6 years old and consummated his marriage while she was 9 years old. Let me go back down here. That the Prophet wrote the marriage contract with her when she was 6 years old, and he consummated his marriage when she was 9 years old. Now, again, we're spotting something right here. If this was actually narrated from Aisha, right, you would normally hear Aisha saying, and I married the Prophet. Okay, I'll give you an example, actually. If we go into Sahih Muslim, you will see a first person narration, right? So you can actually see it. Look, Aisha said, the Prophet married me when I was 6 years old and consummated the marriage with me when I was 9 years old. You see the difference? It's speaking from a first person point of view. This is speaking from a third person point of view. This alerts us to the fact that this is really coming from Urwa, but somebody's just attaching Aisha into the mix, right? And what's so beautiful about this as well, we're also going to find some of these little defects into the text that once we find it in this bit here, we're going to understand that it's in the rest of the text. The rest of the text has some defects as well. Let me show you what I mean by these defects. Now, thankfully, Bukhari actually, he doesn't actually state where this is coming from actually. So right down here, yeah, it basically says that Hisham said, Hisham said, okay, so this is something extra. So this is Urwa's narration that the Prophet wrote the contract with her when she was 6 years old and consummated it when she was 9 years old. But Bukhari also spotted something here called idraj, okay, where it says here, which is an interpolation into the text. It says here, I had been informed that Aisha remained with the Prophet for 9 years, okay. All right. So it says here, I've been informed that the Prophet remained with Aisha for 9 years. Now we're going to find this addition in the text, okay, without any marker to let you know that Hisham now says this. It now becomes part of Aisha's narration, right? So just pre it, okay? We're just spotting all these little defects within inside of the text itself. So you're going to see how weak this stuff is. So anyways, I'm going to go down here, look, and again, we see narrated Aisha. Now we know already that this is something that's been added, okay? Okay, that has been added, but we're going to continue because look, it's still speaking in third person that the Prophet wrote the marriage contract with her when she was 6 years old, and he consummated his marriage when she was 9 years old, and she remained with the Prophet for 9 years. All right. So again, we're seeing that there is an interpolation in the text. Okay, this interpolation is known in Hadith science as idraj. Okay, there is something that's added to the text. Okay, and if you're not trained and if you haven't done a collation of the text, okay, and really know where the chains are coming from and where, who's the earlier narrator, who's the later narrator, and all these things here, you won't be able to spot this, right? So we're seeing that this right here is added to the text, okay, and there is no marker to let you know it's added to the text. But thankfully, Bukhari up here alerted us to the fact that this one has been added to the text. But we now find in other hadiths that this is now added to the text, right? We find it even up here. Look, and she remained with him for 9 years. There is no alert. There is no alerting to you that this has been added to the text, right? So this is another addition to the text that hasn't even been stated. Right, so we're just spotting these minor little defects into the text, right? These minor little defects, but these minor little defects really begin to add up because the story that, once have been painted to you that Aisha said, yes, I married the Prophet when I was 6 years old and 9 years old. And he stayed with me till I was 18 or till 9 years after he died. And one of the things, or 9 years till he died, you start to realize that these things aren't actually coming from Aisha's mouth herself. These things are coming from later additions, from later scholars that are putting words into Aisha's mouth, right? Now, some of you guys are going to be like, yeah, Kalam, but you're not this, you're not a scholar, you're not that, right? So guess what? I'm actually going to give you a scholar that actually backs up everything that I'm saying, okay? So now Ibn Kathir, in his Sirah, okay? In his Sirah, page 93 to 94, he spots exactly what I've spotted, okay? He says what Urwa states here is mursal, incomplete, as we mentioned above, but in its content, it must be judged as mutasil, uninterrupted. This is so because Urwa, the narrator, is transmitting a conversation to which he was not a party to, as is clear from the text. Also, he was too young to have witnessed this meeting or this marriage, okay? And you're going to think, oh, but Kalam, you just wrote that, right? So what I'm going to even do one better, okay? I'm always going to show you, can I get it? Oh, no. Why don't I have it here? All right, let's see if I can do this. Where is the Sirah? Where is the Sirah? Okay, there you go. Uh, 92, isn't it? 92. 93 to 94, okay? So let me just quickly show you where, other scholars have actually seen this, okay? All right, other scholars have seen it, Texas Mercer, okay. This is unique, okay. All right, he says here, so right here, as you can see, let me quickly go up. Okay, so it says here, what Aura stated here is mursal, incomplete, as we mentioned above, but in its content, it must be judged as mutasil, uninterrupted. Okay, but let's just see what we're reading from. It says here, look, Al-Bukhari. So let's just read it. Okay, Al-Bukhari had related from Ubayd ibn Ismail, from Abu Usama, from Hisham ibn Urwa, from his father, who said Khadija died 3 years before the immigration of the Prophet. He allowed a couple of years or so to pass. After that, he then contracted marriage with Aisha when she was 6, thereafter consummating marriage with her when she was 9 years old. Now he says here, what Urwa stated here is mursal, incomplete as we mentioned above, but in its content, it must be judged as mutasil. So already, okay, every single narration that's coming through here is really mursal. It's not really coming from Aisha itself. And now he has mentioned this, but look at this now. Very strangely, yeah, he acknowledges that this is mursal, yeah. This is the games that some of these scholars play. But in its content, it must be judged as mutasil, uninterrupted. So he's saying that this didn't really come from Aisha itself, but somehow it is connected in content. How did you work out it's connected in content? Okay, how? All right. And the reason why he worked out it was connected in content is because he says here, his statements, he contracted marriage with Aisha when she was 6, thereafter consummated marriage with her when she was 9, is not disputed by anyone, as it is well established in the Sahih collection of traditions and elsewhere. So basically, because in the Sahih Sita, okay, and other books as well, it says that it was 9 years old. It is now connected. Like that is what we call shoddy scholarship, okay? Or trying to make something fit when you know in your heart, yeah, you already know that it's mursal, but somehow it's now connected because all the other hadiths says the same thing. And we're going to find out why all the other hadiths say the same thing, all right? So I'm just going to quickly point that out to you guys, and let's quickly get back into this. So we're seeing that other scholars have noted that this is actually mursal. This isn't connected. So every chain, okay, there's 14 different chains, right? I'm going to just quickly count to you that there is 14 different chains, yeah, that all go back to Urwa, right? All of them go back to Urwa. And guess what? They're all mursal, meaning none of these things really come from Aisha herself. Okay, you're going to find these strange little texts that says, yes, it comes from Aisha. We're going to explain why it says that later on. Okay, there is literally about 4 hadiths, okay, 4 hadiths from 2 different chains, right? So 4 hadiths, 3 of them are coming from one individual later on in the chain, and 1 is coming from elsewhere as well. That basically speaks from a first-person narrative. I'm going to show you why and how that actually occurs. But we're just, for now, we're going to note that all of these different hadiths, yeah, all 14 different hadiths are actually mursal, meaning that they're not connected. Meaning Aisha herself didn't say that she was 9 years old when the marriage actually took place. So now, if you know that's the case, you now need to start reanalyzing why exactly, what evidence do you now have to say that Aisha said this? Because there is no evidence at all that Aisha says this. It's just somebody that now says that is the case, right? So we're going to go into some detail in a hot minute. Give me a second. Let me line up a few things beforehand, all right? Let me line up. Where are we going to go with this now? Let me just make sure that everybody's actually tuned in. How's everything, family? How's everything? Are you enjoying the show so far? Yeah, so by your logic, we can say none of these narrations and chains go back to the Prophet himself. No shit. The hadiths are this guy said, that guy said. Yeah, basically. Absolutely basically. Again, if you don't want to get in contact with me, the best way to do it is just tag Titans TV because it lights up in like an orangey color, and it's great for me to actually respond to or see what you got to say, right? So right now we've just shown you that they're all mursal, but let me go into some more detail. That's not just it. I can't just let that be it. All right, I'm gonna have to go give it to you a little bit more. There is some objections. There is some objections that I can bring up. Okay, so these are the counter arguments I think I'm going to bring up because I got nobody here to argue with, so I'm going to have to argue against myself, right? I'm going to have to argue against myself. Give me a second. I'm just going to bring up some information. I should really let you see what I'm doing, so you look and see. Some people be thinking like, Kalam, where are you getting this research from? Like, nah, this is all Kalam stuff, baby. All right. So we could go into the first person's narrations. All right, could do that. We can also go into. No, we done Al-Amash already, didn't we? Is this Al-Amash? Yeah, this is Al-Amash. We've done that already. I don't even want to go back into that. All right. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Cool. All right, let me do this real quickly then with you guys. Uh-huh. Perfect. All right. All right. Excellent. Excellent. So we've acknowledged, yeah, that we have perfect. Yeah, perfect. All right, cool. So we acknowledged, yeah, that basically all 14 of these different hadiths are all traced back to Urwa. All right, all 14 are traced back to Urwa, and we're going to see that there is a few of these hadiths, okay, roughly 4 of them, which I haven't actually weakened yet. Does have a first person perspective to it. Okay, there is 4 hadiths, and let me quickly go into them. There is one in Sahih Muslim, which I showed before, and again, the chain of narration goes back to from Aisha via Urwa, via Hisham ibn Urwa, and so forth, right? Abda ibn Sulaiman, and so forth, right? So, and it says here that the Prophet married me when I was 6 years old and consummated when I was 9 years old. Okay, so we've seen a first person perspective, like, wow, this can actually come from Aisha. Another one, this is coming from Sunan Abu Dawood, and it says here, the messenger married me when I was 7 years old. The narrator Suleiman said, or 6 years, he had intercourse with me when I was 9 years old, okay? And again, this hadith does go through Aisha via his father, Aisha, so like is right at the end of the chain, or should I say the beginning of the chain, depending on how you're looking at it. Then it goes through Urwa, which is his father, from Hisham ibn Urwa. So we find that this is all going through Urwa via Aisha. We've already shown you before that, this is really tadlis, but let's just pretend that this isn't tadlis right now. Let's just pretend that somebody hasn't just said, let me connect the chains. Let me connect the chains, right? Let's just pretend that's not going on right now. And we're going to find, again, another one. Another one that says here, the messenger of Allah married me when I was 7 years old, and he consummated the marriage with me when I was 9 years old. And this is going to Sunan an-Nasai. And then another one says here, the messenger of Allah married me when I was 6 and consummated marriage with me when I was 9. And I used to play with dolls. And this is going back to Sunan an-Nasai again, okay? And all of these chains, there's 4 different hadiths, okay? 4 different hadith, okay? 4 of them right here. Now, every single, 3 of these chains goes back to the same person, okay? Abda ibn Sulaiman, which is Jafar ibn Sulaiman, or known as Abda for short, okay? These 3 are of the same, goes back to the same individual, basically. And this one over here goes back to somebody completely different, right? Goes back to somebody completely different. Now, why do we have, let's just say, 2 different chains, that speaks from a first person perspective? Why do we have that? Okay, why do we have that? And the reason why we actually have that, okay, the reason why we have that is because of a particular individual in the chain. And that particular individual in the chain is called Hisham ibn Urwa, okay? Hisham ibn Urwa. Now, if any of you guys know, the Ilm al-Rijal, okay, or the science of men, and you go back into their histories, okay, you go back into the history, you study who they are, when they were born, when they died, what cities they traveled into, where did they teach, who did they meet, were they known as a good person, how was their memory, and all these things here, you kind of find out about this individual, what other people had to say about them. Now, interesting, okay, Imam Malik, okay, big boy scholar, yeah, big boy, okay, he was the one responsible for the Muwatta, okay, of Imam Malik, okay. He basically, criticized him, basically. He basically criticized Hisham ibn Urwa, okay, and he's basically said that, after he went to, he basically went to the people in Iraq, yeah, and he used to present certain information, okay, and he presented information on 3 different times, okay, 3 different times, all right, and he presented on these 3 different times, he said 3 different things, which shows you the confusion in this particular individual. And this is the reason why he doesn't actually narrate from him at all after he's moved to Iraq and to Kufa, okay. It says here that basically he would say that he narrated he narrated from his father. Saying when he says he narrated from his father, okay, he's basically saying that he heard his father said that he heard from Aisha. Okay, so sometimes you'll see that they put it in Aisha's voice is because he's actually transmitting a hadith to say that, yeah, like, my father heard this from Aisha herself, like literally, sama, okay, literally heard, like to listen to or to hear, okay, so samatu, I heard from Aisha, okay, that's what it says. But in the second narration, okay, Khabani, to say that I was informed by my father on the authority of Aisha, okay, so it's like, hold on, you just said something else. You just said that, his father heard directly from Aisha, but now you're saying that, I've been informed by my father on the authority of Aisha rather than him hearing it directly from Aisha. All right. And then there's a third time he will stand up, okay, and basically say, um, my father on the authority of Aisha. So not saying that he was informed from his father on the authority of Aisha, but from his father, from Aisha. And basically this yani, I love this word here, yani. I always hear my brothers in Medina, you're always saying yani, yani, yani. And I'm like, brother, like, why do you like every sentence, every phrase that is yani? But anyways, yeah, sorry. So basically, this says, yeah, this means, yeah, that he narrated Ursel. Basically, he narrated disconnected or loosely from his father. Okay. And this means that he may not actually have, heard it directly from his father. He may actually been reading his father's notes. All right. His father was actually, well known to actually write letters or risalas to Abdul Malik, okay, which was the caliph at the time. And he was very instrumental in shaping the history of Islam. He's like one of the first individuals. Order's notes. Okay, let me actually read this. It says here again, it is uncertain whether he wrote a book. Okay, but the many traditions that are handed down in his name by Ibn Ishaq and other writers justify the assertion that he was the founder of Islamic history. Though he is the earliest writer whose notes have come down to us, I have not translated the passage from Tabari. Okay, so basically, he's known to have written loads of notes or have loads of notes. He's known to have written risalas or letters to Abdul Malik, which was the caliph at the time for the Umayyads. We know this, right? And this is possibly where he's getting a lot of his information from these father's notes. But he'll be passing off his father's notes as to say that his father directly informed him of this, okay, or or his father directly narrated this to him. Basically, informed sometimes can literally mean that somebody's like, he may be reading something to his father and his father's confirming, like, yeah, this is correct, this is correct. All right. Hadathna could, sorry, hadathni, meaning he transmitted or narrated this to me. All right. So sometimes when you see this confusion in the actual text, it might not be like later scholars doing tadlis and inserting Aisha's name into it. It's just that he's known, okay, to actually get things from his father and pass it off as to say that, I heard directly from my father heard directly from Aisha, when that sometimes is not actually the case. His father may not have directly heard from Aisha, but he's passing it off to make it seem more authoritative, as to say, yeah, I heard this from Aisha. All right. Now, there's other how can I put it? There's other criticisms that's been put upon him as well. So there is Yaqub ibn Shayba. Okay, Yaqub ibn Shayba actually states that uh, easy. Hisham, okay, is he's highly reliable. Okay, so he is thabit. Okay, but his narratives are acceptable except what he narrated after moving over to Iraq. Okay, so after he moved to Iraq, yeah, so basically, like his narratives were basically rejected. Like after he went to Iraq, nobody, especially from the Maliki, like from Medina, really took any hadiths from him, because they said, boy, like, his memory became a bit confounded, he became a bit confused, and so forth, right? So there's a lot of work that's been said, like, we don't take from him after he moved over into Iraq or into Kufa. And a lot of these hadiths that we're actually seeing from him are actually hadiths that's coming straight from Kufa himself. But you got two highly revered scholars or individuals that really criticized him to say that, rah, like when he was in Kufa, when he was in Iraq, he was doing that mad thing, and none of us took from him. All right. And it's very interesting to note as well. Yeah, it's very, very interesting to note that real quickly. Yeah, you know, with me, I hope I'm not boring you guys, right? It's very interesting to note, yeah, that when we're talking about hadiths, yeah, um, there's usually four different types of hadiths in terms of strength, basically, in terms of strength. How strong are they? There is something called mutawatir. Okay, mutawatir literally means like it's well widespread, well, like everybody kind of knows about this, right? And it's not just that everybody knows about this, it was transmitted from every single generation. So from the Sahabas, it was widespread, it was known. From the Tabain, okay, it was like, it was next level spread again. And from the Tabain, it was like another level widespread as well. And it was so widespread and it was so well known, like it was absolutely impossible for somebody or for people to collaborate with each other to say, let's make up a story. So generally speaking, these things are known as makbul, meaning accepted. Mutawatir is like generally it's accepted. There is no question of the doubt. There's only the ahad hadiths, okay, well, hadiths like these, which we want to speak about, such as the mashur, which is like famous hadiths, meaning it's been transmitted from every single generation. It's been transmitted at least by 3 different individuals within a chain, basically. Like 3 people transmitted and then go up again, another 3 people transmitted and up again, another 3 people transmitted it. Okay. Then there is something known as aziz, meaning like it's strong, when at least 2 people narrated it from every single level up. Then there is something known as gharib. Gharib literally means like only one, like a sole individual transmit this, okay? And generally speaking, like it's that those hadiths there are a bit like suspect. They're like that doesn't fit right. Like how only one person has told one person, the other person from one generation has only told another person. Like usually speaking, like scholars like diffuse the information to loads of different people, and it's very like, so you're telling me out of all of this particular scholar or this particular sheikh students, only you got this information, and then you only passed it on once to, sounds a bit like it's a bit shaky with those ones. But in the gharib, yeah, there's usually 2 forms. There's fard muhakkal, no, mu'alliq, mu'alliq. I can't remember. I think it's mu'alliq anyway. It's fard mu'alliq, and there's fard nisbi. Okay, and what we see with fard mu'alliq is literally, or is usually just like one person in the chain. Okay, but fard nisbi, okay, is usually it's usually like transmitted from one person, then one person, but then it can also get like loads, like mass diffusion elsewhere from a particular nisbi, which means location, or from a particular sheikh, or from a particular people. Now, with this particular hadith here from Aisha, okay, it's not actually, in terms of Aisha being the age of 9 or 6 years old, it's not actually mutawatir. It's not something which is the highest level that, it's like, it's a done deal. Like, we accept this. That this is the truth. Like, no, it's not that. So throw it out of your mind. It's not that. It's not at the highest level. It's not mashur neither. Like, it's not famous. It's not being transmitted from at least 3 different generations 3 times. No, it's not that. It's not even aziz, meaning strong. Yeah, 2 generations, 2 people within 2 generations. It's not even that neither. It's actually the most weakest form. Like, it's crazy how people are taking the information from the most weakest. Okay. And it's actually a gharib, meaning it's strange, it's weird. It's like, it's only one person that's narrating this. And then from this one person, i.e. Urwa, that's narrating this, it's only Hisham's generation. It's only once he's moved over to Iraq or Kufa. He was living in Medina, right? But there's nobody in Medina that takes from him. Like, you've been living in Medina for 71 years of your life, right? All right, this is Hisham, and your father, Urwa, same difference basically. Like, but nobody in Medina, nobody heard this. Nobody in Damascus heard this, no? But as soon as you moved over to Kufa, where, Imam Malik and the other one, Yaqub, is saying, like, fam, as soon as he went over there, like, his mind kind of slipped a little bit, right? He slipped a little bit. So nobody's narrating it from Medina and these locations. But as soon as he's moved over here, like, it's now become widespread. Nisbi, only this location, this particular area in Kufa, like, everybody knows this. But everywhere else, like, fam, we married Aisha at 9? Like, everybody's looking at you like, this is Hisham. This is why we don't even accept your hadith, fam. Like, allow you. So nobody accepts it. like, because he went off on a mad thing, to be honest with you. He really went off on a mad thing. But we're gonna get back into this. I'm gonna get back into this. I'm actually losing my train of thought, yeah, because I'm there looking at Hisham, yeah, over in Iraq, yeah, and he's the only person who's now disseminating this information to all of his students, right? And then you got people in like Yemen, Damascus, Sham, Medina, Mecca, like everybody's like, I've never heard that Aisha was 9 years old, G. Like, where you getting that information from? Oh, from Hisham, fam. Imam Malik already told us, fam, we don't accept nothing from him once he's moved over there, you know. Like, in his later age, he kind of went downhill. But if you don't want to say she was 9 years old, fair enough. But we don't say this, you know. I don't know where you're getting this from. Like, I'm just picturing that in my head. Like, nobody's accepting this, right? You know, other scholars have said, nah, fam, in terms of marriageable age, it's always puberty or 15 years and older. Like, but I don't know where you're not getting this with the 9 years old thing. But anyways, okay, I don't want to digress too much. So we're seeing that this particular hadith here is a gharib, and it's also you know, Farul al-Nisbi, okay, only in this particular location, from these particular people, from this particular sheikh, yeah, we're now hearing this information, right? It's only from them we're hearing this information, all right? So that should be cause for concern for anybody who is a muhaddithin or somebody who actually studies hadith or you know, really wants to know the truth. It's like, why only there and nobody else is saying these things? Now, what I'm saying, yeah, is actually half true, and it's half true, although I believe it's the whole truth, but I'm leaving something out of this, okay? Because earlier on I said to you there is 14 different hadiths. Only 13 of these hadiths go back through Hisham. So there is one hadith, okay, that goes through al-Zuhri. Now Zuhri, he's a big boy scholar. He's a big boy scholar, right? But in Sahih Muslim, it says that Zuhri actually gets this information from Urwa, okay? And I'm like, like, so we have one other individual. He was from Medina, actually. But funny enough, like, nobody transmits this in Medina. None of Zuhri's students also transmits this as well, which got me thinking, like, this is a bit strange. It's another case of a very strange hadith, right? It's a very case of a very strange hadith. So I said, let me actually do the research on this. Let me close some of this down. So I done some research on this particular hadith, right? That and I hope I'm not boring you guys, you know, I really do. Okay, let me quickly go on to this. So let me share my screen as well. Let me share my screen. And if you're loving the information so far, family, please make sure you hit the like button, man. Hit the like button. I'm always upset when I don't actually have you guys here where I can talk to you guys or see you guys and have some crowd participation. All right, so let's see. I'm gonna go for an isnad collation. Let's see if that would be it. All right. So, anyways, all right. All right. Perfect. Now I love this. Okay. So right here, I'm actually gonna take you to this. This is in if you go to Islam Web. Okay, let me just make sure that you lot can see what I'm doing this. So right now we're going to Abdul Razak's collection. Okay. And the reason why we're going to Abdul Razak's collection is this, because in Sahih Muslim, we find out that, you know, this is the only individual, yeah, that's actually getting, apart from Hisham, is getting his information from Urwa, right? And I'm like, okay, but al-Zuhri doesn't transmit this anywhere else. So let's see if I can find this in any of his texts. So now I traced it back up to Ma'mar, okay, up to Abdul Razak. Now Ma'mar, it says that he supposedly have a Musannaf, okay, but it's not been found, right? So the only other person who actually has a text, okay, is Abdul Razak, okay. So I went in search of Abdul Razak's Musannaf, okay, and I basically found it. Okay, I basically found Abdul Razak's Musannaf or collection right here. Now, what was very interesting, okay, very, very interesting. Ooh, sugar. Okay, if your kids are here, yeah, please, advisory. Okay, and the reason why I'm saying advisory, and turn it off is because there is a little swear word there, right? And it's because Google is trying to translate the word nikah, okay, which is is used as marriage or sex into the much more common usage of yeah, so nikah means something. Anyways, yeah, so basically, again, okay, so we're gonna see this right here. So Let me do this. Bam, bam, bam. Bam, 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 bam. Come on, hurry up. It's not. Oh, it's not collection. Perfect. So, Ibrahim. Oh, where are you? Where are you? Sorry, my apologies. Okay. There we go. Zori. Okay, so Zori right here. Now we're gonna find something which is very, very, very peculiar with this one. Okay, very, very peculiar. We'll check the peculiar nature of this, right? So over here, yeah, we now have hadith. Okay, we now find it. If you wanted to search this yourself, you can just type in Abdul Rasak, Musannaf 1039, sorry 10349 and 10350. Okay, Abdul Rasak Musannaf 10349. Now, what's very interesting in this, yeah, is that if you look over here, yeah, it says that Al-Zori on the authority of Urwa, on the authority of Aisha, okay? So this is where this is, and look, let me go back again. So on the authority of Ma'amar, okay, no, who heard, okay, so this person was informed directly from, let me do the proper way. I'm reading it backwards because I want to do this real fast. Okay, so Humayd, okay, Humayd Akhbarna was informed by Abdul Rasak. Okay, so Humayd was informed by Abdul Rasak, who said he heard it from Marma on the authority of Al-Zuri, on the authority of Urwa, on the authority of Aisha. Now, what's very interesting, okay, is when we actually go into Abdul Rasak's Musannaf itself, so this is just one person off. So Humayd is the first person in the chain. Then it is Abdul Razak. Okay, we find it very. Oh no! To the lie, I'm actually not reading it properly. Okay, goes up again. Sorry. Hadathna. No, I was right. Abd bin Humayd. Sorry, my bad. So it started up here. Sorry, I'm just trying to be quick with it. Abdul bin Humayd. So that's the first person. The second person is Abdul Razak. Okay. Now, what's very interesting, yeah, from Abdul Razak's stuff, we can see that somebody has just put something into the text that's not actually there. Why am I saying this? Okay, because Abdul Rasak, yeah, now is being informed by Marma, and Marma is now being informed by Al-Zuri, and then Al-Zuri is now being informed by Urwa, who says, you know, the Prophet Nikah or married Aisha, and she was a girl of 6 years old. Now, if we spot the difference here, this is telling you this is coming from Urwa, right? There's no Aisha in the chain. Okay, there's no Aisha in the chain. This is what's so incredible, yeah, that now in Sahih Muslim, yeah, they've now added Aisha to it. Like, if you don't see the deception, yeah, these people are playing, yeah, it is absolutely hilarious. I'm just like shocked that nobody is seeing this deception. And I'm thinking, like, why aren't other Muslim scholars here pointing out this deception? I was on what's his name? Jonathon Brown's page, and he's like, yes, look, even if you reject all of that, we have one Sahih, this particular hadith, Sahih hadith from Abdul Rasak, from Zori, from it's coming from Aisha. And I'm like, hold on, but I've just gone there, yeah, and I've done this already, yeah, and I know you're lying. Like, I'm there reading your text, and I'm like, I've done the research. I know you're lying, fam. It's either you're lying or you're misinformed, or you yourself haven't actually read it, because it doesn't say it comes from Aisha. It comes from Urwa. But now that, because you're reading it from Sahih Muslim, that's where you're getting confused. You have to do that one step further and see if you can find it from a text that predates Sahih Muslim, which is Abdul Razak's Musannaf. And in there, it says it's not coming from Aisha. It's actually coming straight from Urwa's mouth. Clear tadlis. You lot are playing games. Anyways, it says here, yeah, that the Prophet married Aisha, and she was a girl of 6 years. Okay, she was a girl. Ooh, why is it playing like that? She was a girl of 6, yeah? All right. She was 6, yeah, right there. Now, look what happens in Sahih Muslim. The Prophet married her when she was 7 years old. Hold on. Look, and I'll show you the Arabic as well. Look. She was a girl of Sab'ah. Look, right here. All right. Sab'ah is not Sita. Look, Sab'ah is not Sita. Look, right here. Right here is the age 6. But somehow, in Sahih Muslim, it's 7. Like, fam, you lot are playing games. I'm telling you lot playing games, family. You lot are clearly playing games, but it's none of my business, isn't it? I guess it's none of my business. I guess it should be like people like Mufti Abu Layth that has to bring this information up because nobody's going to take it from me, and who am I? But anyways, but at least somebody who's like not non-Muslim can look into your stuff and that can see the games that it's playing. But I'm surprised why none of your scholars are pointing these things out, right? But it carries on, yeah. And she was conducted to to him, and she was a girl of 9 years, and blah blah blah, with him playing them, and died when she was 18 years old. All right, cool. All right, cool. So, anyways, yeah. So we have that there, right? And what I found, I was thinking to myself, but hold on, like I don't really believe that Zori actually narrated this. And what's very interesting about this particular narration, right, is that it is actually joined. Okay, so what that means is there is two isnads. So this is the first isnad, okay. It's the first isnad basically, and then there is a second isnad that says from Abdul Razak, on the authority of Ma'mar, on the authority of Hisham ibn Urwa, on the authority Hisham ibn Urwa, on the authority of his father, basically. All right. Now, what was very interesting, yeah, with this, what was very interesting with this is this, yeah, that you have this chain of narration, yeah, and I don't think that this chain of narration actually belongs with this particular hadith. And the reason why I say this is this, because we remembered before, yeah, that Hisham added the extra 9 years. Let's see. Yeah, Hisham added the extra 9 years, making 18. Like, there's so much here that doesn't actually add up. And I don't particularly think, yeah, where am I? And I don't particularly think that this particular chain, okay, is actually correct. I think that the author muddled it up. Okay, and his memory is known to be a bit wayward. Bukhari only took from him if he's quoting directly from his book itself, because his memory is a bit off. So I don't particularly think, yeah, but I hope somebody else who's much more, brainy than myself can actually do the research, because I don't think this particular chain belongs there. And the reason why I don't think this chain belongs there, because there's a lot of things, yeah, that came directly from Hisham's mouth, okay, that we known, and Bukhari has identified it that's coming from his mouth rather than Urwa's mouth, and we find it, supposedly in Zori's speech. I don't believe Zori actually said these things. But anyways, I would love for somebody much more knowledgeable than me to actually do the research, because it's quite strange that both chains are added to this particular text. Both chains added to this text. And I'm thinking the first chain is not really part of the text. Is the second chain, this really is part of the text. And that's why I'm going to say that Zori didn't really narrate this. And if Zori did narrate this, why did none of these other scholars, how can I put it, students narrate this? Why is it only him? He's a famous scholar, Zori's not no small fry. He's the big boy. He's like his school was like the foundational school. Big boy in the field. Every great scholar kind of took from him in terms of hadiths. Like, he was massive, but somehow there's only one person that's narrating from him. I particularly think that this is a mistake right here. But don't take my word for it. I hope that somebody much more intelligent than myself, who know the studies of science or the hadith studies, can actually figure it out. Anyways, let me go. So where am I going with this now? All right. So now we just realized that the 14 different chains technically go back to Hisham via his father Urwa. Okay, we found that out. We found out that it's actually Mursal, so it's not actually coming from Aisha herself. It's actually coming from Urwa that's stating these things, right? We've also found out that there is a lot of idraj. Okay, so Hisham ibn Urwa is known to be a mudraj. Well, it's basically shown to be a mudraj, somebody who actually interpolates stuff into the text, right? We know this. We know that he's, adding to the text, 18, 9 years extra. She was 18 when he died. It's also my personal opinion that he actually added 6 years old to the text as well, to count back 3 years as well. Okay, so because we find these conflicting things like 6 and 7 years old, but there's one thing that all the 19 different hadiths is certain about, is that she was married at the age of 9 years old. But it's confliction of when the contract was written or when it first happened, which was 6 or 7 years old. And the reason for this is because you know, they wanted to push Aisha back to being the first wife, you know, after Khadija's death. That's what they were attempting to do. They were trying to push her back to be like, I was the first wife after the Prophet's, you know, first wife died. But in reality, it was actually Sauda. And there was a big argument, or there was a big debate amongst the, you know, back in the day scholars of whether she was the first or the second wife after Khadija. And, you know, this was all part of the politics. And I wanted to go into some great detail to show you the politics of the time that, you know, a lot of hadiths were being falsified during that time period. A lot of political agendas were taking place, especially after the first fitna. There was a lot of hadiths that was being made up for political and theological reasons. And of course, after the second fitna, another, you know, massive amount of, you know, hadiths literature was created as well. I wanted to go into some detail about that and show you what was going on at the time, how Aisha's son was also like a caliph at the time. And a lot of people don't even know this, right? He was actually, you know, how can I put it? He was a caliph who was at odds with another caliph. He was a caliph who was at odds with the Umayyads. And this was after the demise of, you know, Hussein. After the demise of Hussein, God rest his soul, man. God rest his soul. Yeah. After the demise of Hussein, he was actually, you know, a caliph as well. He ruled a lot of Arabia into Egypt and other places as well. But there was also a second caliph as well during the time, the Umayyads. And that was all, you know, came to an end after he sent out, or Yazid sent out al-Hajjaj, and Hajjaj just like decimated Medina and just killed them off. But anyways, that's for another story for another day. Let me just get into this real quickly. So let me actually go first before I go into all of that. What's the people saying though? What are you lot saying? Talk to me, family. Are you lot enjoying the show so far? What you lot saying? You lot enjoying the show? Let me know, man. Come on. I'm gonna hold on tight real quickly just to make sure that you're enjoying the show. Kiss Spence Productions, baby. Kiss Spence. All right, cool. Wow. Okay, the time is flying like crazy. All right, cool. So let me go into this now. Let me just close down a few things, just in case my computer starts running slow. All right. So, all right. Now, one of my favorite parts here is this. Actually, one of my favorite parts to this whole story is why, as to why. Actually, no, not why. My thing is who and why. I need to bring up my research again. Apologies, family. It's going to take a little while. Open new tab. Give me a second. Talks amongst yourselves. Okay. Yeah, my computer's moving mad slow. That's how you know I've got too many tabs open right now. All right. So that needs to get closed down. All right. What I want to go into here is the who and whys, basically. The who and whys. All right. And what I mean by the who and whys, it's, for example, like, why was this young age attributed to Aisha? And who exactly attributed this young age to Aisha? And was this fabricated, or was this an accident? Like, what happened? Why was this age attributed to Aisha itself, right? Out of all the ages to attribute to Aisha, if we're saying this is false here, why 9 years of age was actually attributed to Aisha? And I'm going to go into that. I'm going to go into that in a short bit. I just want to make sure I have all my information up, all right? And I guess I don't have all my information up. All right. No, I know where it is. It's called Aisha's Boast. All right, let me share my screen. Aisha's Boast. There we go. Aisha's Boast. Okay. And feel free to you know, spread my information, baby. Feel free. All right. All right. Okay, so what did I promise I would do right now? Okay, so I promised myself to do this, okay? My thing, what I'm going to do right now is show you the arguments, okay, in context of statement. Okay, context of statement. Part of a logic. Okay. So I'm going to show you the context of, why this hadith was actually produced, the purpose of it. We're going to do an analytical comparison, and we're also going to do why are they being. Okay, cool. Ooh, I'm getting to sugar. We're getting to a lot of stuff. Okay, mukhtalif al hadith, mushkil al hadith. There are two types of conflicting or difficult hadiths. Those that can be reconciled, those that cannot be reconciled. 4 actions of mukhtalif al hadith. Okay, cool. All right. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. I see where I'm going with this. I see you, baby. I see you shaking that thing. All right. Okay. So now, yeah, what we're gonna do right now, okay, is kind of show you where this hadith actually sprang from. Okay. And what I mean by this is this. Okay. I'm gonna do this with you guys, right? I don't know. Let me ask a question. Can I ask a quick question? I want everybody to kind of be open and honest with us, right? Your parents. Some of you guys are gonna do this here because we're living in the West right now, right? But I want to know, yeah, if you got African parents, actually, yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of our African parents, yeah, know like may tell you, yeah, like, yeah, I was married to your father. I was married to your father. When I was 19 or 25 or 28 years of age. But I want to know, yeah, whose mother has actually told them the age that they lost their virginity? Like anybody? Anybody? Anybody gonna say, yeah, my mommy told me, my grandma told me. Anyways, yeah, so what I'm actually saying about this is this, yeah, is all right, what I'm saying about this is this, all right. This narration, yeah, of Aisha talking about, I was married to the prophet when I was 6 years old, and I had sex with him when I was 9 years of age. Like, one has to think, like, how did this conversation, what's the asbab? What is the asbab? What is the cause of this conversation? Like, how did it come about? What is the context of the conversation itself? Right? Like, like, who's asking this question? What's the purpose of asking these questions and so forth? Right? Like, and it's very peculiar and very odd that Aisha, narrated this to her nephew. Like, let's just say that, this isn't Mursal, this is actually connected. Like, what sprang it on that Aisha said, yeah, like, you know what? I laid it down with the Nabi. Like, I actually had sex with the Prophet when I was 9 years old. I consummated the marriage when I was 9 years old. Like, what led her to that? What type of questioning? Like, as a nephew speaking to my aunt, like, I'm gonna feel kind of shy to say, like, all right, like, what age did you have sex with uncle? I don't know how that conversation will come in, basically, right? So, like, one has to question it, like, how did this come into the equation, right? If Aisha really said these words, all right. And usually we, in like the science of hadith, yeah, we usually ask these questions: what's the context, right? And we usually take the larger hadith, okay, or the longer hadiths to be preferable over the shorter hadiths, okay? Because usually these shorter hadiths are just like, just extrapolating this. I'm taking this and I'm creating a separate hadith. But in reality, it's part of a longer narration, right? It's part of a much longer narration. I'm going to show you that this hadith potentially comes from a larger narration, all right? And if we search through that large narration, we may just get the context of what's going on, all right? So this particular narration, although I feel as though that these narrations were created for political reasons, I'm not going to actually break down why I believe it's for political reasons. It's because it's going to take a long time to actually do that. But let's just read it, and you all can make up your own mind whether you think it's for political reasons or not, right? So this particular hadith is coming from what I classify as Aisha's boast. Okay, I don't particularly believe that Aisha herself actually said this hadith, but it's been narrated in so many different places that says it comes from Aisha. Okay. But I think that it's been created by several individuals, or by individuals to really bolster her up, bolster, whatever the case is. All right. Anyways, it says here, okay. Okay, so certain individuals came to Aisha and said, "Oh, so have you heard what Hafsa has been saying?" he said, "Yes, O mother of the faithful." Abdullah ibn Safwan asked her, "What is that?" She replied that there are 9 special features in me that have not been in any woman except for what God bestowed on Maryam bint Imran. So that's the Virgin Mary, for those of you guys who don't know. By God, I do not say this to exalt myself. That's why I call it a boast, because you're exalting yourself over my companions or the wives. What are these? He asked. She replied, "The angel brought down my likeness. The messenger of God married me when I was 7. My marriage was consummated when I was 9. He married me, again, he married me when I was a virgin. No other man having shared me with him, inspiration came to him when he and I were in a single blanket. I was one of the dearest people to him. A verse of the Quran was revealed concerning me when the community was almost destroyed. I saw Gabriel when none of his other wives saw him, and he was taken, that is, died in his house when there was nobody with him but the angel and myself." Okay, so this is her things that she just, comparing herself to the Virgin Mary. She's also saying, these are the 9 things that, have been given to me that nobody else has. Okay, and one of these things is she was married when she was 7, and my marriage was consummated when I was 9. Okay, so to me, like, this particular hadith, okay, or the shorter form of the hadith, yeah, is really coming from a larger hadith itself, right? But they've just extrapolated it and created its own hadith by itself. Now, I've also collated all the different places where I found this, okay? So I found this in, let me quickly do this. I found this in Ibn Sa'd, Tabari, Abu Bakr al-Adri, Abu Mansur ibn Asakar, and Bukhari as well has a little bit of it as well, this particular bow. So I'm just going to quickly go through all of them, and I'm actually going to show you something as well when we can find differences within inside of the hadith. Okay, so it says here, I was preferred over the wives. Okay, so it's her boast, or given her, her virtues. Let's not call it her boasting. We should call it her virtues. Okay, she's now, exclamating her virtues. Okay, so I was preferred over the wives of the Prophet by 10 things. It was asked, what are they? Al-Mu'minin? She said, he did not marry any other virgin but me. He did not marry a woman whose parents were muhajirun except me. Allah Almighty revealed my innocence from heaven. Jibril brought my picture from heaven in a silk and said, marry her, she is your wife. He and I used to do ghusl from the same vessel, and he did not do that with any of his wives except me. He used to pray while I was stretched out in front of him, etc., etc., etc. It continues, but I can't bother to read all that anyways. So here's here another one. Okay, so this is from Ibn Sa'd again, from his Tabakat, volume 7. It says here, Aisha said, I was given characteristics which no other woman was given. The Messenger of Allah married me when I was 7. The angel brought him my picture in his hand, and he looked at it. He consummated that marriage when I was 9. I saw Jibril, and no other woman saw him except me. All right, so we can see that the same type of hadith about the 9 years old is being inserted, right? There's another one over here. It says here, Aisha said, I have given 9 things I've been given 9 things I gave to, okay, I'm just using Google Translate right now. I gave to a woman other than Mary. After Mary, no, I'm gonna have to read the Arabic. Give me a hot second, because this is terrible. This is actually terrible. Okay. Okay. Cool. All right. Anyways, let me continue reading anyway. It says here that Jibril took my picture in his comfort until the messenger of Allah ordered me to marry me, and he married me with virginity and did not marry any other virgin except me. Prophet buried in my house, and the angels surrounded my house, etc., etc., etc. It continues. There's the next one here from Qasim, who is her nephew. I believe it's her nephew. Qasim ibn Hamid narrates that Aisha said, I have been given more virtues than the other wives on 10 things. It was asked, what are they? O mother of the believers. She said, the Prophet did not marry any other virgin but me, did not marry a woman whose parents were both muhajirun, and so forth. All right. So the next one as well, like it's long, okay? It's long, okay? It's very long. Now, what I did, okay, was actually collate these texts, right? I collated the text. All right, I collated the text, and we're seeing that there is, at this moment in time, yeah, the purpose of this text is to exalt her above, other women. It's also to compare her to the Virgin Mary as well, right? And now what I did was an analytical comparison, right? Then an analytical comparison. And what I mean by analytical comparison, I analyzed all these different hadiths, all the different chains. Some of them are actually weak, by the way, just to put it out there. And I've collated them. I've seen the wording within inside of the text, and I'm seeing that there is a reoccurring theme. All right, a reoccurring theme inside of this. All right, all of them basically say that she was married at 9. Okay, and all of them seem to indicate that she was a virgin. Okay, right? So Ibn Sa'd says he did not marry any virgin but me. He consummated that marriage when I was 9. Okay, my marriage was consummated when I was 9. He married me when I was a virgin in Tabari. Next one says he married me when I was a virgin, did not marry any other virgin. He didn't marry a virgin other than me. And Ibn Abbas, from Ibn Abu Mulaika, says he did not marry any virgin except you. Okay, and this is in Bukhari. You can still find the remnants of this particular boast or virtues. Are you the? It says here from Ibn Abbas said, Allah willing, you are all right as you are the wife of Allah's messenger, and he did not marry any virgin except you, and proof your innocence was revealed from the heavens. Okay, so we find this, the heavens and revealing this and so forth. We find that in the other boasts themselves. But what we find, which is quite interesting, okay, is that every single hadith either has a virgin or replaces virginity with 9 years of age, or some hadith usually actually has both in there, talks about being a virgin and being married at the age of 9 years old, and it seems each one is explaining the other. All right, so what I found that was very interesting was, on doing my comparison, I found that virgin and 9 seem to be synonymous with one another. It seemed to be synonymous with one another. Okay, and in seeing that, I said to myself, hold on. I said, hold on 1 minute. And this is what I find very interesting, right? And I said, hold on 1 minute. So virginity in 9 years of age seems to be synonymous in this moment in time. Why is that? Why is that? And this is where it gets real interesting, yeah? This is where it gets real interesting, okay? So in seeing that, I said, you know what? Yeah, let me do a little bit of research, right? Let me do a little bit of research. And the research is this, right? And this is why it's so beautiful as well, okay? Now, I'm going to ask you guys here, do you know Abu Bakr's real name? Does anybody here know Abu Bakr's real name, right? Does anybody here know Abu Bakr's real name? Okay? Does anybody know Abu Bakr's real name, right? We know he's been given certain titles as El Siddiq, but I want to know, does anybody know his real name? All right? All right. And if not, okay, I want to know, do you know that, yeah, Atik is definitely one of them. So basically, his real name is either known as Atik or is known as Abdullah, okay? Now, that being the case, I want to know, do you know of his son called Bakr? Does anybody here know of his son called Bakr? Real quickly. Does anyone here know of his son called Bakr? Because obviously he's got the kunya Abu Bakr, right? So does anybody know his son Bakr? The answer really and truly is no. Nobody knows of his son called Bakr, right? All right. Now, the next thing I'm going to ask you is, does anybody know what the term or the word Bakr actually means? And this is what's going to get very interesting. And that's why I say it's all to do with politics right now. Does anybody know what the term Bakr actually means? No. All right, cool. So I'm going to go into this, right? And this is what's very, very interesting, yeah? Because the term Bakr, and I'm going to put it up here, and this is what's very, very interesting and why certain terms are actually interchangeable. So right here, okay, this is the Lane's Lexicon dictionary, and we'll find that the term Bakr, right here, literally means virgin or virginity, okay? And we'll put it down here, okay? So it literally means somebody who's a virgin or have their virginity. That's what the term Bakr literally means, okay? It also has several different meanings as well. So Bakr right here, depending on which different dictionaries you go to, how it's spelt, says here that it literally means a youthful he camel, one in a state of youthful vigor, feminine with the tarmabuta, and also bakr without it, without the tarmabuta. Okay, the term bakr is applied to a camel corresponding to a fatan. Okay, applied to applied to a human. Okay, which is synonymous with a jaria. And then you also have a bayir, which is synonymous to insan. And then we have a jamal, which is synonymous with the rajul. And then you also have a, I think this is nakat or naka right here, which is synonymous with an amarat. Okay. And I'll explain all these things here real quickly. Okay. So right here, what we have here, okay, is terminology that's utilized for camels, right? Terminology that's utilized for camels, but it can be utilized, how can I put it, metaphorically or figuratively or tropically to human beings, right? So you have different stages of, all right, okay, all right. The Arabs were, a lot of them were camel herders, right? They lived with camels and so forth, right? But what they used to do was apply terms that was used for camels specifically. They would apply it to human beings. Actually, it says this here. I don't even have to explain it. It says it right here. Look. Applied to a camel, but corresponds to and applied to a human being. Okay. So, for example, okay, we know that humans are called insan, but camels can also be called bayir. Right? We know that a man is called a rajul, but a male camel is known as a jamal. Okay, a woman is known as a marat. Okay, but a female camel is known, which is like a proper camel, is known as a nakah. Okay, we also have over here, all right, a girl is known as a jaria. Okay, but then a young camel is also known as a kalus. Okay, then it's also got over here, look, you know, like a bakarat is also known, or sorry, a woman who is like a youthful woman, also like a servant woman, is known as a fatat, but also the same youthful one is also known as a bakrat. Okay, over here as well. So we can see that they utilize certain terminologies for camels, for human beings. And what's very interesting about all of that is this. Look, I'm explaining stuff that's actually on screen already. Why am I even taking my time out to do this? Okay, it says here, and sometimes it is metaphorically applied to a human being, meaning a young man, a bakrat, to a young woman. Okay, the plural, blah blah blah. All right, so metaphorically, you can apply these terminologies that's utilized for camels onto human beings. Right. All right. So when Abu Bakr is called Bakr, which literally means a youthful camel, it can also be transferred over to human beings. And a bakr could literally mean a youthful man or a virgin man, or it could also mean a virgin woman as well, right? That's what the terminology literally means, right? If you say literally or metaphorically means applied to human beings, but in reality, it's terminology that's utilized for camels, right? And what's very interesting about that is this. Okay, that this particular terminology, okay, called bakr, is only utilized at a particular time of a camel's lifespan. All right, and we're going to go into that, and that's what's going to be very interesting right now. Okay, so over here it says here, he has told me that what is in his mind and what is in his ribs in fold. He's saying originally from the following fact: a man bargained with another for a youthful camel. Okay, a bakr right here, a youthful camel. Okay, Bakr, and said, what is his age? Okay, Sinner? And he says, yeah. The other answered, he is in his 9th year. Okay, he's in his 9th year. Take note, baby, take note. All right, take a lot of note. Okay, then the young camel took fright and ran away. Whereupon his owner said to him, oh, Omar, let me just pick this up real quickly. Omar, what are you saying?
Screen's blank, man.
Oh, the screen's blank. Swear down. How long has it been blank for?
Like 5 minutes.
Oh, you lot. So no one couldn't say nothing.
No, 2 minutes.
2 minutes. All right, family tree. I'm hearing that the screen is blank. I'm dropping that heat right now, you know, and the screen has gone blank. Imagination.
Yeah, man.
Hold on, my brother. Let me see if I can.
Right.
Is it? No, stay there. Let me know. Can anybody see anything?
Nah.
Oh, my goodness. Hold on.
Blacked out.
Blacked out like a goth. Let's try this then. Give thanks, Omar. Let me do a thing. Jeez. See, so I love my brothers, you know. I love my brothers. My brothers will just keep me on track. All right. So I apologize, family. I don't know what's going on right now. But it seems as though the gremlins are really trying to sabotage. All right. Because I'm about to drop that real heat right now. Give me a second, family. Give me a second. I want to see if I can fix this. And I don't know. I don't know how to fix this. So we're here. Sorry, family. I'm giving you that good stuff as well, you know. Imagination. It actually tried to mess up. Okay. Bear with me, family. Bear with me. Let me know if you lot do get to see me. Man, I'm blaming everybody, you know. What? All right. I'm gonna try something. I want to apologize to everybody if this show actually closes down. Yeah, this is where the juicy part comes in. All right. Let me know if I'm back on. You know, I'm seeing myself. Suge Knight. You lot have to see now. Let me know if you see. Yeah. All right. That's perfect. All right. Cool. All right, let me do this. Let me do this now, man. I'm apologizing, family. I don't know. Like, just when the juicy bits coming in, yeah, it tries to mess up. All right, let me go back into this, okay? So earlier on, I was showing you guys, yeah, if you lot missed this, I'm gonna have to repeat it, okay? So the term bakr right here means virgin, or it means a youthful he camel or she camel, one in a state of youthful vigor. Applied to human beings corresponds to fata, a girl that has nearly attained puberty, a young woman, okay? So I showed you basically all of this. This is all part of Lane's lexicon. You can all search this up. Go into Lane's lexicon. You know, it's so easy. Literally, if you want to go to Lane's lexicon, you do that, okay? It's got all the different dictionaries basically. So you have the Hansware dictionary. You also have Lane's lexicon right here. You can simply type in BKR, which is bakr, right here, okay? And let's quickly find where I have it. There, right here. So bakr, right here. If you don't want to follow me and do exactly the same thing, it's all right here. You can find all of my little you know, it means a young woman, etc., etc. You can find it all here. But I'm going to go to my thing over here, okay? So I basically showed you how it all corresponds to human beings. They utilize camel terminologies and metaphorically applied it to human beings, right? I showed you that. And I was also going through into showing you that there is a narration that shows you that, you know, bakrs were also camels that were in their 9th year. So it's here, he is in his 9th year. Then the young camel took fright and ran away, whereupon his owner said to him, hither, hither, okay, or hither, hither. And this is an expression by which are quieted young ones of the camel. To when the purchaser heard it, he said, he has told me truly the age, or as to the age of his youthful camel, or the age of his youthful camel has spoken truly to me, okay? All right. So, yeah, so you know, so real quickly, I'm just gonna show to you. So I'm showing you to you guys, yeah, that like camels when they were in their 9th year, okay, right up here shows you, yeah, camels when they were in their 9th year, they were referred to as bakr. And you'll say, but why in the 9th year? Well, in the 9th year there was something called a tush, okay. It now grows out, and that's how they distinguishes when they're in the 9th year, meaning that they're now able to breed. But this usually took place in the 9th year. All right. So what I'm going to say to you now is this year, by actually studying that hadith, and we're seeing, okay, in that particular hadith, we're seeing the word bakr. I haven't even showed you that the word there is actually bakr that's being utilized in the hadiths. Okay. So let me quickly show you that that's the actual word that's being utilized. So, for example, right here, we have the term bakra. that's being utilized, or even over here. So basically, like it's saying that married. So basically, the Prophet married me. Yeah. So the Prophet basically married me, and I was a virgin, basically. Okay, so married me and in my virginity. Okay, and he did not marry any other virgin except me, other than me. Other than me, yeah. Other than me, yeah. Other than me is much more better. But the term right here is being utilized is bakr, and that's the term that's being utilized for virginity. Okay. Real quickly, just to make show you guys, bakr. What is where it is? So, and again, over here, this is the word that's been utilized yet again for virginity. So, right here, there's a good hadith that's saying, ya mu'minin, so, oh mother of the believers, okay? And she said, he did not marry a virgin other than myself, and did not marry a woman from the muhajirun, basically. Okay, cool. So basically, yeah, this terminology, bakr, it literally means virginity or virgin, basically. And we're seeing, yeah, that same term, yeah, also has the definition or meaning of 9 years of age, right? 9 years of age. Now, you know, some of you guys will be like, Kalam, you're on crack, you're smoking crack. And I guarantee you, if you search or you ask any Arab that is a, you know, or any, you know, classical Arabist, yeah, that knows the language, you'll see that that terminology, 9th year, okay, like when a camel is in this 9th year, right, it's known as a bakr, okay, it's known as a bakr itself, all right, that's how they distinguish it as well. Now, what my hypothesis is this, actually, let me show you my quick hypothesis. My hypothesis is this, that instead of actually narrating Hisham ibn Urwa, you know, he may have found this particular narration from his father. He might have said 9th year, okay? You might have seen it says the 9th year. Now, the 9th year, okay, had the meaning, or even Bakr had the meaning, yeah, not of meaning a virgin, rather than actually meaning that she was actually that she was literally 9 years of age. So what I can, you know, in my estimation, this is my own personal hypothesis, okay, you can prove me wrong afterwards, try to prove me wrong, but my own personal hypothesis is that, you know, this riwayah or this narration, okay, wasn't narrated literally, okay, it wasn't narrated in its literal sense, it was narrated in its ma'ana, okay, it's not in its meaning. Okay, it was a narration in its meaning rather than its literal narration. So the literal narration is bakr, meaning in her virginity. Okay, but the narrator itself narrated it in terms of its meaning in its a woman or a girl that's in her 9th year. That's how it's been narrated in my personal estimation, right? You lot can try to fact check me later. And then this is how it got mass transmitted and mass spread, right? So from it simply meaning that I was a virgin in my 9th year, right? It now becomes, oh, and she was married to the Prophet for 9 years. So therefore, if she was married to the Prophet for 9 years when he died, that means she was 18 years of age. Now that's how it starts to pick up. And then, but what about before? Yeah, but she was also contracted to marry the Prophet 3 years prior to she was actually being where she would actually consummated the marriage. Therefore, for 9 years, if we count 3 years earlier, she was 6 years of age. And then this whole story is now built upon, yeah, her being married to the Prophet when she was 6, and then consummated when she was 9, and then died when she was 18, when in reality, all it was saying was that she was a virgin or she was a youthful woman or a young girl, right? And that story kind of just exploded outwards. And I'm actually going to stop there, yeah, because I'm getting a bit tired right now. And when I'm getting tired, I can feel it. I can feel my mouth just being tired. So all I want to do right now, yeah, is I want some crowd participation, right? Some crowd participation, because there is so much more, yeah. But because it's so late, I need to bounce off some people right now. So what I'm going to do right now, yeah, if you guys would actually like to come in, okay, would like to come in, ask some more questions, yeah. If you would like to ask some questions, because maybe my vibrancy will kind of come back to life, okay? Because I'm feeling a bit dejected right now after it was what's the case? You lot wasn't getting to see my slides or getting to see me, so I feel a bit hurt. So anyways, yeah, I've posted the link. So if you guys would like to come in, all right, and actually speak about the things that we've just spoken about, that would be absolutely awesome. And what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to post it into a few of the Hangouts itself, okay? So if you guys would like to come in, pop in, and actually have your say, come in, pop in, and have your say. All right. So I'm posting in it, posting. All right. So anytime you guys would like to come in, all right, the link is literally in the description box, right? So hopefully we have somebody like Farid that will be there to be like, or the Sunni defense be like, Kalam, you're talking craps, you know. So we got Gabs, we got Jordan in the building. Talk to me, family.
Wagwan.
What's popping?
Yeah, buddy. We're there.
Yeah. Trust me.
Long one. So yeah, let me see, man. Let me see. Whew, my hat, my crown. So anybody got any questions? I'm taking questions right now before we go.
I've got a question, Kalam.
Go ahead, my G.
Yeah, I was just wondering. You pointed out how in the chains of narration that you examined with Aisha's hadiths, that lots of the narrators have reasons why they're kind of considered weak in some respect, and I was just wondering, kind of like, doesn't that seem kind of contradictory to them being included in Sahih Muslim and Sahih Bukhari? Kind of, why isn't that a kind of ongoing sort of controversy or scandal?
Yeah, well, technically, it is actually an ongoing controversy and scandal. Somebody who's actually bringing this to the forefront of, most Muslims' consciousness right now is actually Mufti Abu Layth. Okay, Mufti Abu Layth. He's been speaking about similar topics about Bukhari and the others, and how trustworthy they really are. And the problems with Bukhari and so forth. But also this as well. There is a lot of hadiths inside of Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim that isn't actually Sahih. And the scholars, as-Suyuti, Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, other scholars, well-renowned scholars and others have actually made mention of these things. But the problem is the layman don't know these things, okay? The layman literally don't know these things at all. So it's only the scholars that tend to know that Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, and the rest of the Sahih Sittah, there's a lot of hadiths in there that isn't actually Sahih at all.
Okay. And is it partly also because online, when you look at kind of Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim online, the only Sahih rating they give is Darus Salam, and would it be different if you kind of looked up the Sahih rating from, say, Suyuti or one of the other kind of scholars you mentioned?
Yeah, so and now a lot of these books are actually written in Arabic, which is very difficult if the person is not really learning Arabic, and more time that, how can I put it? Muslims themselves are not trying to find ways to prove or criticize their religion. Yeah. They're not trying to find ways to prove it wrong, right? So they themselves tend not to look into these things. It's really like non-Muslims kind of objective to really look into these things and criticize these things. And you'll find a lot of things in there. That's going to be very troubling. Very, very troubling.
Yeah, it just kind of almost the fact that kind of, this has been the status quo for kind of 1,000 years, and the so-called Muslim scholarly community has been happy with this kind of being the status quo. It really kind of casts a lot of it reduces their credibility as kind of an academic community or scholars, because you should be trying to kind of make your intellectual position stronger by casting out weakness, whereas they seem to have not done that based on the evidence you've brought.
Definitely. Let me just quickly read this as well. It says here, so this is a translator's preface for one of my hadith books as well. This is called Nukhbat al-Fikr. It's a longer name actually, but let me not even go into it. It says here, there are very few works in English language on the subject of usul hadith. The average Muslim may not have the slightest idea of its subject matter and importance. And this is what makes it great, because the average Muslim doesn't know this information. But guess what? This little black boy from the hood knows. So yeah, let me quickly point out a few of my sources real quickly for studies of hadith. I haven't really laid it out in really good form so far, how I should do. So this is one of my books that I go through. Is called the Nukhbatul Fikar. There's another one called a textbook of hadith science. Let's quickly go here. All right, from Hamid Hashim Kamali. Another one of my favorite books as well for Hadith science, for anybody who's actually interested. Where's Saleh? Where's Saleh's one? What's Saleh's one? Saleh's one. There we go. Another good book as well is the Don of it, really and truly, for Hadith science as well. This is called An Introduction to the Science of the Hadith, and this is by Ibn al-Saleh al-Sharazuri. Pardon me. And there is another one which is kind of like
Adnan Rashid actually told me to read that one, Introduction to the Science of Hadith.
wow. And there's another one which is kind of low tech. This one, yeah, this one's kind of low tech still. Might be this one that he told you to read. It's like 41 pages, but it's still a good read though. It's still got some great gems in there by Dr. Shuaib Hassan. All right, very low tech, but it's a very good read still. All right. If I was to this one is the book. It's about 315 pages long. It is quite a long, tedious read, but it's good. It's real good. It's real good still. All right.
Can I ask one more technical question? You also, earlier in the talk, you kind of went through the different classifications of widespreadedness of hadith, so there's like mutawatir, and you also used a word which I'd never heard before, where it was kind of maybe rahab or rahib, and you used that to mean when there's only kind of one person narrating at each stage in the chain.
Yes.
So
yes.
What's the difference between that and ahad?
Yes. So all of those ones. So anything that's not mutawatir is classified as ahad. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, they're all classified as ahad. But let me quickly give you a nice breakdown of.
Okay, I got it. But like there are different types of ahad, basically.
Yes. There's 3 different types of ahad. Quickly. All right, we're there. All right, cool. So yeah, there's 3 different types of ahad. So after mutawatir, there is something called mashhur hadith, which is any hadith that has more than 2 narrators in every generation of its sanad, but the number of narrators does not reach the requirement of tawatur, will be called a mashhur hadith, i.e. famous. Similarly, any hadith which has all the shariat of tawatur but does not give the benefit of the ilmi yaqeen ba'adihi will also be classed as mashhur. So any hadith that's got like 2 or more, more than 2, so 3 hadiths in it, is from every single generation is called mashhur. Then there is another one called aziz. Aziz is like strong, and it says here any hadith having a minimum of 2 rawis or 2 narrators in every generation of its sanad is called aziz. In no tabaka generation should there be less than 2. And then a gharib hadith is any hadith having only 1 rawi in any generation of its sanad. It's called gharib. Okay. And then right here basically tells you right here, apart from mutawatir, mashhur, aziz, gharib, hadith are all called ahad. So all of them, apart from mutawatir, is ahad.
Okay. Sorry, I thought of just one more question, which was when you were looking through the different chains of narration of those 14 hadith relating to Aisha's age, is there any chance that the source that you were looking at perhaps didn't include some chains of narration that perhaps another kind of source might have recorded?
Yes. So out of the 19 and the 14 and so forth, that was all within inside of the Sahih Sitta. But of course, there are how can I put it, other books that has these chains or different chains in there, or the same chains in there itself. So, for example, you'll find it in Ahmed ibn Hanbal's Musnad, and you'll also find in Abdul Razak's Musannaf. What other books is it in?
So,
those are top of my head that certain hadiths are actually in.
Okay, but is there any chance that there might be kind of, a way that these hadiths were transmitted that isn't through Irwa, that's maybe recorded within one of the other early scholars?
No, there is no other places that I've found and other scholars have found either as well. So it's quite exhaustive.
Okay, cool.
All right. Any other questions? Let's get it. Come on, family. Talk to me. Talk to me. Virginia, you can't be coming in and not saying nothing, man.
Yo, what's up, man? Is that James guy, the one with the cowboy hat?
Yeah, I do wear a cowboy hat sometimes.
Yeah, that's swagger, man.
Thank you.
Keep doing your thing, bro. Yo, Kalam, you mentioned earlier on about you did it in quotation marks. You know when you people put fingers up, 2 fingers mark and do quotation marks?
Yeah.
You mentioned Aisha's son.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what son you're talking about. You can elaborate on that or
Okay. Yeah. Let me do this. Let me do this. I'll put it up, and then afterwards, you can find it on sunnah.com, which would make it a bit easier for you. Or if you want to fact check me, basically. Anybody wants to fact check me, because I could just be pulling this stuff and just writing it myself. So if you want to fact check me, all of the sources are actually here. So right here, okay, this is from Al Adab Al Murfad, okay, and I'm Mufrad, sorry. It says here, Aisha said, Prophet of Allah, will you not give me a kunya? And then he said, use the kunya of your son. Use the kunya of your son, okay? And I'm going to keep going. So the second hadith says here, Aisha said, Messenger of Allah, all my fellow wives have kunyas. He said, give yourself the kunya by Abdullah, your son. All right. Third one from Abu Dawud. It says here, where is it? Sorry, my bad. Sorry, not from Abu Dawud. So right here, it says here, all of your wives have a kunya except me. He said, you are Abdullah. All right, so 3 of them, okay, in the Musnad of Abdul Razak. Yeah, that's it. So basically, we've got at least 2 or 3 different hadiths that the Prophet is now supposedly giving a kunya to Aisha herself. Okay, and Aisha had this kunya until the day she actually died. Does it actually say this here? Let me just quickly make sure. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Abdullah until she died. Yeah. So she was known as Abdullah until she died, according to the Musannaf of Abdul Razak. And this particular, title was supposedly given to her after her son by the Prophet. And the Prophet said, give yourself the name or the kunya after your son. Now, later Hadith scholars basically said that this particular individual was Abdul ibn az-Zubair. Okay, Abdullah ibn az-Zubair. Okay, that was the individual that she was given, or the kunya came from. But that's later scholars saying this. And Abdullah is supposedly her nephew, but the Prophet was calling a particular Abdullah her son. So I'm just saying what the hadith says. She had a son. It could be a literal son, or it could be a spiritual son. And that's the reason why I utilize quotation marks. Because right now it's not too clear. It says she has a son. The Prophet said, after your son. And then, but supposedly she had no children. So,
I mean, calling your nephew son is not really that much of a stretch, in it. It is what it is.
It is. Let me put it like this way. The hadith itself doesn't actually say that. Later scholars now put that in to make it make sense, or say it means her son. But there is no communication from her son or from Aisha to saying, yeah, I was named after my nephew Abdullah. It doesn't say that. She doesn't, again, this is not coming from Aisha's mouth saying, I was named after, I was named Abdullah, Abdullah, after my nephew. It's just later scholars is now trying to rationalize this and saying, this has to be the reason. When it could be possible that she actually had a son. Who knows? That's some research for else on another day.
They will probably be recorded, in it. She had a son, though.
You would think so, wouldn't you? You would think so.
I would think so.
You would think so. I wonder, did Jesus have any sons?
Also, the wives of Muhammad were forbidden from, remarrying after he died. So she'd be in quite bad trouble if she did get pregnant.
Yeah, but she could have possibly been pregnant prior to the individual that she was married to prior.
Oh yeah, if we take her new older age.
Yeah. And if we take the Prophet's sunnah into consideration, i.e., the Prophet only married widows. The Prophet only married widows or women who was formerly divorced, and most of them had. I think all of them had children. I think most of them, all of them had children. But let me just utilize most because I haven't done my research properly. Say all of them. So most of them actually had children. So it wouldn't be a far stretch if she was actually older and if she was previously married for her to actually have children. But I'm not saying though, like bear witness. I'm not saying she actually had other children because that would now mean I have to provide the evidence, and that one there, is a little bit above my pay grade, to be honest with you. I'm not getting paid that much money to do that. I'm not getting paid any money to do it. So what are you saying, man? Any more questions, man? Because I just dropped something and like nobody ain't saying nothing. Like at least critique me, like at least say something. At least say I don't agree with you, Kalam. So it says here, Run From Your Wife says, question, are there any Bukhari hadiths that supersede Sahih Bukhari hadiths? Yes, so there is a principle within inside of the hadiths called nask, okay, nask, and munask. I think nask and munask. Let's see, where can I find that? Give me something easy.
And nasikh.
Yeah, say again.
Mansukh and nasikh.
Yeah, mansukh and nasikh. Why is it not working? I'm trying to give you a lot real quickly. Let's see. There we go. Nasikh. See if we can do that. Please have word search in here. Okay. Does it have word search? Yeah, it has word search. But all right. So yeah, there is basically hadiths that does abrogate one another. Basically, there it is. So you got here nasikh and mansukh. Basically, two mutad. Anyway, hadiths which are, I'm trying to make it bigger, but it's not allowing me to, which are equal in sihat, okay, strength, and it is not possible to make jama, combine the two, yet it is possible to classify them apart as one being muqaddam, meaning one being older, and the other muakhar. One was a former and law, and the other was revealed later. The latter is called nasikh, abrogator, and the former mansukh, abrogated, e.g. the hadith of muta, temporary nikah, is mansukh by the hadith which it prohibits it. So basically, the abrogated can be abrogated by the abrogator. So the earlier hadith can be abrogated by the later hadith, basically. So yeah, so there are hadiths inside of Sahih Bukhari that does trump other hadiths in Sahih Bukhari. All right. Times TV, to clarify the situation exactly, how old was Aisha when she was married, Brother Kalam? Again, I'll have to do another show on that. I would say the most convincing argument so far is that she was roughly 19 years of age, okay? And as I say, it's the most convincing, but also I would have to still do research on it. I don't want to say it is the case because it could be completely different, but we have very little evidence, okay? Very, very little evidence. And the best argument so far that I've heard, I'm not saying this is the right argument, but it's the best one, is that her sister, her sister Asma, okay? She had a sister called Asma. She was married, not married. She was 27 in the year of Hijrah, okay, or Hijri, when they actually migrated to Medina. She was 27 years of age. Now, in other hadiths, she is known to be 10 years the senior of Aisha. Okay, so Aisha would have been 17 years of age during the Hijri, or the period when they migrated to Medina. Now, the Prophet married her roughly 20 months or 2 years into his migration into Medina. So if we add 2 years onto her being 17 in the year of Hijri, she would roughly be 19 years of age. Now, there is a great article on this on Al-Islam. Al-Islam, Age of Aisha. Let me quickly do this. Al-Islam, Age of Aisha. Let me quickly see if I can. Let me see. Come up. Okay. Anyways, find it somehow. Anyway, I don't even know. You don't have to find it somehow. I don't want to do this right now. But yeah, if you go there, it will kind of give. Why is it not sharing my screen when I say share screen? That's crazy. So yeah, yeah. So that's like the most convincing argument that she was roughly 19 years of age. I tried to share my screen again. I'm wondering why does it not share my screen for like as long as I need it to be shared. All right. Let's see. Any more?
Wouldn't Shia scholars have an incentive to try and do this kind of research and kind of point out the weakness in Urwa's kind of chains, or how he supposedly delivered this chain of transmission?
Yeah, you would think so. But again, and that's a very good point. Speaking with my Shia brothers, and I think it's their biasness. And I apologize, don't hit me up, because I'm saying you're biased, but because I believe that, Shias have a very biased nature towards Aisha, that they don't really like Aisha too much. They actually despise Aisha. So, this hadith works out in their favor for them to say, like, look at the lies that Aisha has just made upon the Prophet, right? Like, Aisha has just blatantly, caused a mad fitna, has caused a mad problem and confusion amongst the community by saying she was 9 years of age. And we all know, that she was older. She was 19 years of age. So they all put forward the argument that she was 19. They put forward a positive argument of her being roughly 19. But they don't do the deconstructive work to prove that this doesn't actually come from Aisha, nor does it come from the Prophet, but it comes much later on. They don't actually do that work. Maybe it doesn't fit into, how they view things. But so far, I haven't seen any Shias deconstruct this so far.
Okay.
All right. So we say, man, like, what we saying? Like, I need you lot to talk to me, family. Talk to me. Like, at least somebody say, yo, Kalam, like, that whole 9-year-old thing, that was a bit of a stretch. How did you get from Bakr to be 9 years of age? Like, at least. Or something. Or say, like, Kalam, like,
I thought that I did get a little bit lost when you went into kind of Baka means kind of a 9-year-old camel. I mean, I was to be fair, like kind of also arguing in the comment section, but that part seemed like, I know, if anything, maybe the slightly most kind of speculative part of your presentation. I hope that isn't too unfair to say.
That's more like it. That's what I'm talking about. So I don't know if everybody were able to actually see what I shared in terms of how they utilize naming systems back then, how they utilize basically. So for example, over here, utilizing the lexicon itself, it showed you how they applied terms for camels. Okay, so terms for camels. So for example, I'm going to go backwards right now. A nakah is known as a woman. Is a camel that is like fully grown or fully matured, or like it's like a woman basically, and they call that, and they utilize that metaphorically for a woman. So they will call a woman, which is an amrat or marat, a nakah basically. All right, that's how they kind of use the term. If I'm losing someone, please let me know. Right. So again, they will utilize Jamal. Okay, Jamal, which is a camel, which is a male camel. They will call a man a rajal, a Jamal basically. So if I want to say like, oh, look at the man over there, I might say, oh, look at the Jamal over there basically. Look at that man over there. But I'm utilizing, terminology that is applied to camels figuratively or metaphorically, or I'm transposing that onto a human being basically. So the same way that a bayer is like known as camels, like generally just camels, like we would now say it now means insan, meaning just humans basically. But then we also have other terminologies like a bakr is known as a virgin or youthful camel, can also be transposed or figuratively applied onto a girl or a young woman as well. Does that make sense? Like if it doesn't, please like argue with me so I can clarify that point.
One thing that I would like to just ask, I guess, in a way, is what is the significance with this as opposed to what the Quran actually says? You know, we can go through all this, search about Aisha's actual age. And one thing I think is kind of prevalent when you were talking about some say 6 and some say 7 is that you're talking about a lunar calendar as opposed to a solar calendar. But I don't want to deviate from that. What I would like to say is when it comes down to the Quran doesn't give an age that is acceptable for marriage. Now, there are some parts in the Quran that it talks about testing people to see if orphans and such, if they can retain their property, or to see if they are the age of knowledge. And, you know, it never gives a specified day or birth date. But in the Quran, it actually states that you can divorce your wife even if she has not menstruated before. So really, I guess what I'm getting at is it's not really important, the age of Aisha, you know, because firstly, hadith, there's plenty of reasons not to follow hadith. I'm a non-Muslim, I'm an atheist, but I can still read the Quran and take from it, do not follow hadiths. That the Quran itself says that it cannot lead astray and that it is perfect and clear. But
that's something because I don't want to just go ahead too long. Can we just bring up one point at a time that we would like to address and take me to a Quran verse or anything that you would like to take me to?
Okay, 65:4 of the Quran.
Okay, so we're going to go to 65:4 of the Quran right now. Let me go in here. Corpus? I think I'm going to do corpus. So let me make sure I'm sharing my screen with everybody. Right over here. Okay, 69 verse 4.
65 verse 4.
Sorry, 65 verse 4. My apologies. 65 verse 4. Okay. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so for the most part, the most celebrated, I guess you would say, translation into English, depending on where you are, if you're in the UK, has been Yusuf Ali for decades. But, you know, there have been scholars that say Pickenthaw is the most accurate translation. But any one of these that you read, you come to the same conclusion. And those who no longer expect menstruation among your women. So that's set in one end of the spectrum. People who have gone through menopause and no longer have menstruation. If you doubt, then their period is 3 months. And those who have not menstruated. So as you can see here, there is a spectrum. It's not just a middle. And if you want to go to Pickenthaw, that one is actually more precise. And for such of your women as despair of menstruation, if ye doubt, their period shall be 3 months, along with those who have it not. You see? And for those with child, so what I'm trying to say is the hadiths, you know, for the most part, those are just if people choose to follow those. Now, of course, most scholars across the world say you are supposed to follow hadiths, but then they're only picking and choosing which hadiths they follow, such as with salat, with prayer.
Let me stop you. All right. Okay. So and I apologize, I'm just going to mute you, but I apologize. You can come back in again. I just want to stick to one topic at a time so we can, you know, for the time. It's 2:20 over here. I'm tired as it is. So I want to make sure I just go through everything real fast with you and make sure we clear up any misinformation or mistakes itself, right? So, all right. So what is very key that you guys need to actually understand is when you're reading, okay? It says here, and those who no longer expect menstruation among your women. Okay, this is the key terminology that's being utilized right here. Okay, is nisa. Nisa literally means women. Okay, it's not jaria, it's not a young girl, it's nothing else like that. It's actually talking about women right now. It's talking about women. All right, so those who no longer expect or given up or in despair, like literally they have no hope for menstruation. So the issue was going on right now. Okay, there was a previous chapter that was revealed that, you know, like, you know, you basically wait. your 3 cycles. Okay, so you're doing it by a natural time of your bodily clock. Okay, this is how you check whether you're free to actually marry somebody else once you've divorced them, or or yeah, that's the iddah waiting period. But there is a roughly 3 menstrual cycles. Once that's happened, you're formally divorced to that individual. Okay, they haven't taken you back in that time period. Okay, that's one way of actually charting it, was via your menstrual cycle. They did it by their bodily clocks. But the problem is that arose amongst the women is, like, the women realize, or the women, if you read some of the tafsir, whether these aren't really strong or sahih tafsirs, or the link is not really that strong. But the general gist of the story is that the women were complaining to say that, hold on, prophet, no, like, hold on, like, we don't fit into that criteria, basically. Okay, we don't fit into that criteria of periods, right? And they were saying we don't fit, like the women were complaining, saying we don't fit into that criteria of periods because we're not menstruating, right? So I can't check to say, like, yep, this is month number 1 or period number 1. This is period number 2. This is period number 3. Like, I am formally divorced. We don't have that. So, supposedly this verse came down for those women who were no longer or weren't menstruating, right? And now, what most Muslims and even non-Muslims have read out of this is saying that these who don't longer expect menstruation is those women who are going through menopause, right? This is definitely one reasoning as to why they no longer expect menstruation, because they're going through menopause. Some women are just barren. There is all different types of reasons as to why a woman no longer expects her menstruation, right? And then it says here, if you doubt, then their period is 3 months. So now this is a different form of calculation, right? Another form of calculation. Rather than checking your actual period or your bodily cycle, you're now going to wait, 3 ashurin. Okay, so 3 months now you're going to start waiting. So you're now looking at the moonly cycle. Okay, you're now looking at the moonly cycle of a month itself, rather than looking at your biological. So instead of looking at your biological, you're now looking at the celestial cycle. And this was the new calculation that the Prophet now gave to the people, or gave to the women, to check to see whether they're divorced or not. It says here, and also for those women who have not menstruated. Now, unfortunately, a lot of scholars and even non-Muslims here have put in yet, who have not menstruated yet, as to mean that these women have yet to menstruate, meaning that they're too young to menstruate. Now, for those people who actually understand what's going on here, would understand that how can a woman be too young to menstruate? That's impossible. And what I mean by that's impossible is because a woman has gone through her menstruation already. A woman has started her menstruation already. So therefore, how can she be too young to menstruate if she has already started, right? It's only a jariyah, or a young girl, who hasn't started her menstruation, all right? It's only it's not talking about girls in this situation. It's talking about, like, we have, we have children and then we have adults. It's not talking about.
May I get back? But may I bring up the point that I was bringing up, though, originally, which is the Quran never gives a specified day. I mean, an age for what is, for the testing of what is adult. Okay, because just because they use the word woman doesn't mean that they consider a person at a certain age. It's not like in Judaism, when a man.
I hear you, my brother. Allow me. Let me finish my build. Like, once I finish, we have 3 rules on here, right? And this one of the second rules is, like, keep your mics muted until like I open it up for you, basically, or give you the go ahead. Let me finish this off now. So it says here, who have not menstruated. Okay, so this bit here is troubling to a lot of people. I want to give you the actual answer to this, which is actually inside of the Quran. You just have to read like 2 verses down where it actually completes the full understanding. It says here, and for those who are pregnant. So of course, if you are pregnant, you no longer expect to menstruate, right? All right. So there is those who no longer expect to menstruate because of certain reasons, right? And then there are those women who are not menstruating for some reason, and we're going to find what that reason really is. And for those who are pregnant, because of course you're not actually going to menstruate, their term is until they give birth. And whoever fears Allah, He will make for him his matter ease. Okay, so let's quickly push forward a little bit. It's actually in the 6th verse that actually explains this. It says here, that is the command of Allah which he has sent down to you, and whoever fears Allah, he will remove for him his misdeeds and make for him his reward. Now, right here, it actually gives you the answer of who these women actually are, all right, who no longer menstruate. Okay, it says here, lodge them in a section of where you dwell out of your means, and do not harm them in order to oppress them. And if they should be pregnant, okay, remember pregnancy earlier on, then spend on them until they give birth. And if they breastfeed, this is the key thing right here, okay? And if they breastfeed for you, then give their payment and confer among yourselves in the acceptable way. But if you are in discord, then there may best breastfeed for the father another woman. Now, most people don't understand that women who are breastfeeding, guess what? Guess what? They don't actually menstruate. Let me not even speak on a you know, let's just not say, I can't say all women, but the majority of women, okay, for up to at least 6 months. This can continue to 3 to 5 years. And if you lot doubt me, let me quickly go to breastfeeding. Let's quickly do this. Breastfeeding menstrual cycle. Let's do something like that. Menstruation, breastfeeding menstruation. Menstruation. Okay, let me try this one. Let me try this one quickly. Menstruation. I'm on Wikipedia. There we go. There we go. Okay. Hey, breastfeeding. Okay. Okay. Breastfeeding causes feedback to occur on post-secretion. No, keep going. Menstruation is managed by. Okay. Menstruation is managed by menstruating women to avoid damage to clothing or to occur. Where is it? Where is something good? Where is it? Why is it not here? Why is it not saying it properly? Suckling is important. Average. Okay, on average, women who are fully breastfeeding, whose infants suckle frequently, experience a return of menstruation at 14.5 months postpartum. There is a wide range of response among the individual breastfeeding women. However, with some experiencing return of menstruation at 2 months and others remaining amenorrheic for up to 42 months postpartum. So some women can go up to 42 months without actually experiencing menstruation. Okay, they can go 42 months without experiencing menstruation. Now, what was very common in the Arabian Peninsula was that noble women, or just like certain families, would employ a wet nurse to breastfeed for them. So if you know about the story of Pharaoh and Moses, they actually got Moses's mom, the Pharaohess or the Pharaoh's daughter, actually got Moses's mom to actually breastfeed Moses, unbeknown to her that was actually her son. If you know the story about Muhammad, peace be upon his family, he was breastfed by a particular individuals from another tribe in the not in the deserts, but in a particular location. He was breastfeeding in the wilderness by Bedouins, right? Because that's what certain employment or jobs were actually done at the time. So now when it's talking about the women who are not menstruating, it's actually talking about women who are actually breastfeeding at the time, who do not experience menstrual cycle. So for these particular women, instead of actually waiting for your menstruation to actually begin, all you have to do is count via the celestial cycle, via months, okay? Via the months, that's what you do. And as you can quite clearly show you right here, and if they should be pregnant, then spend on them until they give birth. So, so if you desire to, divorce your pregnant wife, okay, you just have to wait till they give birth, and that's when you're done with them. But if they're breastfeeding for you, so it's another group of women who are actually breastfeeding for you, then give them their payment, right? Because that's what they are supposed to do. They're actually employed under your care, even though they were your wife prior. And confer among yourselves in an acceptable way. But if you are in discord, then there may be breastfeed for the father another woman. Okay, so that's what that context was talking about. Now, you wanted to say earlier that the Quran doesn't tell you what age that for marriage. Well, I would say quite clearly, it tells you in Nisa that the age, a woman is the marriageable age. Like you should marry a woman rather than a young girl. Now, other people may bring up about the orphan, that you should, test them once they attain the age of puberty to see that they can have the money and so forth. So it's letting you know that a woman or a girl can only be married once they've attained the age of puberty. You can go into the hadiths themselves. It also tells you that they can only be married once they attain the age of puberty, right? That is literally it. There is loads of hadith that speaks about this once they reach the age of puberty. Now, the age of puberty is something that has been brought up by me prior, and this is part of the, fiqh, should I say. This is all part of fiqh, and it talks about what exactly is the age of maturity of puberty. It says here, this is the age of maturity and puberty. This is Sinal al-Bulagh, or Bulugh, okay? And it says here, age at which the Muslims are considered an adult and becomes accountable for his or her duties in Islam. There is no fixed age for that in terms of years, and it is decided by 3 signs: having a menstruation period or pregnancy for girls, and being physically mature or having a wet dream for boys, growing pubic hair, or reaching the age of 15, whichever comes first. So generally speaking, okay, a individual is known as a man or a woman, or reach the age of puberty roughly at the age of 15. That's the rough age that they were considered to be an actual adult or reach the age of puberty. But go ahead, my brother. Sorry, I'm opening up.
Okay, so I would just say, firstly, if you're gonna use hadith and tafsirs, on Al Tafsir, you can see Jalalain, you can see Mikbas Tafsir, Ibn Abbas, you can see Al-Wahidi, you can see all these tafsirs that says it is because the girl is young. But I don't want to get into that. What I want to get into is when you showed the word for word breakdown on 65:4, you kind of stopped. And what it goes to right here, and like I said, as a non-Muslim, I read the Quran and I can read from it saying, don't follow hadith. Don't follow that. It says hadith 26 times in it, and it never says to follow any hadith outside of Allah's Quran. So with that being said, just looking at it from a Quranic perspective, I would say on 65:4, where it has the word for word translation, where you stopped, it says, you're women. If you doubt, then their waiting period is 3 months. But right after that, it says, and the ones who not menstruated. Now, if you're looking at it from Allah's perfect word, that he can clarify everything into one book and it not be misunderstood by those who actually believe in Allah. And there's actually 3:7 of the Quran where it says that you are not allowed to believe any of it as allegorical. You have to take it as literal. So if you're taking these words as literal, yes, 3:7, I see your face, but 3:7 of the Quran, you can look it up. It says that it must all be taken literal, and only Allah knows what is allegorical, and true believers follow the whole of the book, because those who don't are the ones who cast doubt. Now, what I would say is, if you do want to use tafsirs and hadiths, then you would have to say that these tafsirs by Al-Jalalain and Ibn Abbas, all these are the ones that Muslims follow throughout the world for the most part, that are, especially if they are of Malik and Hanafi and predominantly Sunni. Now, what I would say here is there is no definitive way in the Quran of saying how old a person is considered an adult. You can look at Judaism where, there is a certain age for young men when they become what we would still consider underage boys. They consider them men in their culture, but that was never mentioned inside of the Quran. It was only saying, oh, test them to make sure that they are sane, for one, that they have knowledge of the world, essentially of the Quran is pretty much what it's saying. But so when you read the word for word, or you read any of them, it should come out the same way, which is, and the ones who not menstruated. Now, if you want to interpret that differently, that's an issue that you would have to look at 3:7 of the Quran, which is, oh, he just he just said it allegorically, saying, oh, just women who are breastfeeding. No, because he talks about breastfeeding in a different verse. Now, if you want to take those and put those together in one into one manifestation of what he is declaring here, okay, I don't see it. And I mean, I'm not, and that's the thing. I'm a non-Muslim, and I can still read it how the vast majority of Muslims read it and how they take it. So what I would say is, you know, even in the Quran, it never really put scholars or people who are authoritative on anything other than the Quran in a positive light. It talks about rabbis negatively. It talks about Christian scholars negatively, but it always talks positive about the people of knowledge who know the Quran. And if you're going to use the tafsirs, then you have to go through where, like in Hadith, they say that if you want to learn their religion, you learn it from Ibn Abbas. And there is Q tafsirs, Ibn Abbas, where he says that it is due to their young age that verse was replied. And like I said, it's a spectrum. If Allah is trying to give you all encompassing knowledge, he would have to do it in a spectrum from young to old. You know, he would have to say, go ahead.
The reason why I'm going to stop you is because you're bringing up a lot of points. And the best way to deal with this is just by one point at a time. And, you know, like, again, you're reading the tafsirs, right? And I commend you for actually reading the tafsirs as a non-Muslim, as an atheist. And I actually commend you for that. I'm not saying I'm a Muslim. I'm kind of almost near you, right? But you have to actually be fair to the text itself and see what it actually says. I'm going to admit to you that a lot of Muslims have misconstrued these verses to mean something else. And I was say that they're following their own desires in order to do very deviant behaviors, right? And I'm talking about scholars themselves have done very misconstrued certain verses for deviant behaviors. Now, when you read the tafsir itself and you read the actual chain and you read the cause of what it's actually, let me do this real quickly. Actually, let me share my screen. So, for example, 65:4. Let me go into. Hold on. Haiti, please have it. All right. And for those of the women in the church, said Mukatil with a verse, women who are divorced, yet. And what's what I'm saying? And said, what is the waiting period for those? I said, when the waiting period for the women was mentioned, Al-Baqarah, some women of Medina are saying there are other women who have not been mentioned. Okay. So supposedly there were other women who have not been mentioned. He asked, and who are they? They said those who are too young. Okay. And then in brackets, okay, because you can see here that this is actually there. So such that have not started mentioned yet. And this is parenthesis. It's not actually in the text. It says those who are too young, those who are too old, and those who are pregnant. And such women are the spirit was revealed. Now, unfortunately, when you read this in the Arabic itself, okay, it doesn't say that those who are too young even. It doesn't say those who are too old even. It doesn't actually say these things. And that's why it's always good, you know, at times to actually read the Arabic to see what it's talking about. It's talking about women, yeah, who are either of the older generation and women of the younger generation and women who are actually, you know, who are pregnant. It's talking about women, and it's not talking about, like, you know, you may say, oh, those who are too young, these who haven't menstruated yet, these are young girls. No, it's not talking about young girls. It's the way that they actually describe people. So, for example, the terminology that's being used here is saghir, and then there's also another terminology that's being utilized for old, which is kabir. Now, old, and these terminologies doesn't necessarily mean young and old. It could also mean of a different generational class, meaning women who are of a higher or elder generation class or nobler generation class, and the younger women of another class, not young girls. So that's how they try to translate it, meaning young girls. Saghir nisa. Saghir nisa does not mean, or should I say nisa saghir does not mean young girls. It would be jariya. It would be young girls. You would say young girls rather than young women. Young women, it doesn't actually even say that. It's talking about a particular generational gap that's taking place. So the younger women are complaining versus the older women who are complaining. And the reasons for them complaining is actually to do with that they are not menstruating. The women themselves actually complaining at this moment in time. I'm going to repeat again, the women themselves are complaining that they have not actually been mentioned. Right? Those who haven't started, who haven't menstruated, who are in despair of menstruation, and those who have not yet menstruated. Okay, and doesn't mean that those who who are too young to menstruate, it simply means that those who have not menstruated due to other reasons, such as breastfeeding, which is followed up in like the second verse afterwards. But you're not going to take the second verse afterwards because you don't think it's connected somehow, do you?
I mean, you could, if you're willing to make an argument that it's connected, but I don't see that it's connected in the sense that when the Quran is speaking very forthwith about something, and it happens a few times in the Quran, right afterwards, it will say like 65:5, that is the command of Allah, which he has sent down to you. Now, I'm not saying that that's a total cutoff, the 65:5, a total cutoff. I'm just saying then when you go to 65:6, he's giving you a determination of how you are to deal with these people. My whole the people that you divorced. Now, my whole situation here is like I was saying, they can use the word woman because they don't have a defined age or determination inside the Quran, or even if you look back in the hadiths and such, they.
Can I stop you right there? Because you're saying in the Quran, you're going to like the people themselves don't have their own idea of what it is to be an adult, what it is to reach puberty, what it is to be
Allah never gave them that. That's what I'm saying.
All right.
And that's not quite true. So as the only Quranist on the panel, if you don't mind, I would like to get, is it cool if I give the Quranist breakdown on how you get the age or no?
Go ahead, King, go ahead.
So my American brother, we agree on the fact that you just deal with the Quran, or you should, if you're going to deal with the Quran, you don't deal with the Hadith to interpret it, right? So based upon Surah 10, ayat 94, you go to the previous scriptures, right? So right off the top,
not all the time though. You can't pick and choose.
Bro, I'll let you build. Let me build my piece. I got to jump off real quick anyway. I got to go debate somebody. I got to go debate Captain Tazarak from ISBK real soon. So just let me go for like 2 minutes, and I'll let you get the floor. All right? Is that cool? All right. I'm gonna share my screen real quick. So we see in Surah. Can y'all see my screen?
Yeah, you're good, bro. Go.
All right. So we see in Surah 4, ayat 6, right? And test the orphans until they reach marriageable age. Then if you perceive in them sound judgment, release their property to them. So we see that there's two things going on. That the marriage age and at the age that the orphans get their property is the same age, right? And so we also see that in Surah 12, ayat 12, right? Or ayat 22, it says, and when Joseph reached maturity, right? Joseph being the son of Jacob, right? We gave him judgment and knowledge, and thus we rewarded the doers of good, right? And so to find the age of maturity, I can get that specific age in the Bible, right? When I find the age of Joseph, when this happens, right? So the age is given to Joseph for this period, which you can see in the Bible, are the ages of being 17 years old to 30 years old. All right. So again, when you go into the me and Brother Kalam was talking about this a little while ago about I asked him, since I don't deal with the hadith, at what age in the hadith what was the youngest age that Muhammad married off his daughters? Because as Muslims, we understand that we have to follow his example, right? So even if there's dispute as to what age Aisha was married, you find out what age where did he marry off his daughters, because we can't marry our daughters off any younger than that, right? So I asked him, were they any younger than 17? And Brother Kalam was able to verify the fact that they were not younger than 17.
That's correct. They were all
okay, but my counter to that would be you're using religious text that you don't believe is 100% accurate, but you're only
that's not true. So as a Quranist, I completely confirm the Torah
and the gospel.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you would have to say, for one, that Mary was not the sister of Imran.
What does this have to do with the age of Aisha?
No, you're trying to use the Bible in certain parts to justify your religion, but you don't follow the entire Bible as true. You pick and choose. You're cherry picking what you think justifies your argument.
Let me stop you right there, my brother. Let me stop you right there. Because you know what it is?
One thing.
Hold on, my brother. Let me just finish this off real quickly. Because I don't want to have like a back and forth type of vibe. What it is, my brother, like there is a lot of different types of Muslims. There's Sunni Muslims, Shia Muslims, there's Quranists, there is Ahmadiyas, there's all different types of Muslims, my brother. And you know, I know usually we watch apologetics videos and so forth, and we're used to one type of Muslim, a Sunni Muslim. But now we have a very rare Muslim on the panel with us, which is a Quranist Muslim, a Moorish Quranist Muslim. Okay, and these these Muslims actually accept all the scriptures. Okay, Gospel, Torah, Zabur, all of that good stuff. They accept all of those things. So this argument that you're going to be putting forward would work better with a Sunni Muslim or even possibly a Shia Muslim rather than a Quranist itself. But let me
But
jump
that's
away.
not true though, because he just admitted it. He tried to divert and say, what did this have to do with Aisha? My whole point was he was trying to use.
I said that because I just told you I got to jump off real quick to actually get onto a debate with somebody who knows the Bible a lot better than you do. Yeah. So
that's possible. That's
10 seconds, bro. 10 seconds, bro. So I just gave you the Quranist method, yeah, for finding the age of Aisha, right? And so I also just gave you the concept within the Hadith to where if I'm going to marry off my daughter at the age that Muhammad did, I can't marry off any younger than 17. Kalam, what was
Quranist? May I ask a question? Where's your Quranist method about Maryam being about Mary, the mother of Jesus, being the sister?
All right. So again, like what I've realized is that we're just going to be jumping from one argument to another argument. And I don't really have the time and patience for that again.
Let me just get one thing in, brother.
Yeah. So
what Kalam?
Go on, Vijay.
You see this ayah 4:6, right? It says balahu. Yeah, this word balahu, nikah. So reaching nikah. Then when you go and check the root word over here, you see my screen, yo. Pay attention, blood. You see my screen.
Literally means maturity. There you go.
It reach, arrive, or came. A fruit become ripe. It became ripe. He attained to puberty. You get? So that's the from the Quran. You go end over here now.
There you go. Yeah, that's right. So, you know, the Quran, you know, you can definitely argue and say, yes, the Quran doesn't specify a age like 15, 16, 17, and so forth, right? It definitely doesn't specify an age like that. But in terms of a, you know, of a time period in a person's life, right? Natural, it goes by the natural or biological clock. That's what it goes by. So reaching puberty is not just simply just having one trait of puberty, i.e., you know, you've grown a little lump there. No, it's talking about when you have fully ripened, you've fully developed, you've fully grown, like physically into a woman. Everything that a woman should have in terms of your period, it should be there. Your maturity in terms of intellect and spiritual and emotional intelligence and adaptability to the community and culture that you're part of should be there. It should all be ripened. That is what the Quran basically states. Now, again, I'm saying that there is a lot of perverted and deviant minds that would now give you an age such as 9 years of age and all these other things, which is completely false. This is something that is deviant, that's crept into Islam, to say that you can marry young girls and all these things here. This is something that's crept into Islam. This is not something that is actually established by the Sunnah itself. And I want to say the Sunnah of the Prophet is what was actually followed in the Medina period or the Medina era. That's why you got Imam Malik and other great Maliki scholars, Shafi and all them great ones there rejected the whole 9-year-old thing, because they're like, no, it's when a woman has reached maturity. It's when a virgin or an orphan girl has reached maturity where she's mentally, physically mature. That is the only point that she can actually get married. That's the only point she can get married. So, you know, all this other stuff is coming from deviancy and people's desires to try to, you know, corrupt Islam and corrupt, you know, the marriageable age. Like the people in Medina was not having a bar of this. Remember, they're coming from Jewish backgrounds. They're coming from Christian backgrounds. They're coming from all different type of backgrounds, and marrying at these young age, nah, it's not part of the culture. It's definitely not part of the culture at all. Like at all. But anyways, I don't even want to spend no more time on that itself. Can we jump onto something that is, you know, part of what we were speaking about earlier? Hold on.
Can I ask one quick question to Brother Vegeta, Ahmed, and you real quick? Is that okay?
Yeah.
So were those sources that you showed us a week ago, whatever, in Tabari, are they universally accepted by Sunnis and Shia?
Which one? Which source?
The sources where you were bringing up the ages of the Prophet's daughters when they were married.
Oh yeah, that was in Ibn Sa'd. Ibn Sa'd, well, it's in Tabari as well, but Ibn Sa'd is definitely classified by most scholars or all scholars in terms of Muhaddithin or or the Ilm Rajal as being thicker, meaning very, very like, yeah, he's trustworthy, very reliable.
That's what's up. So real quick, brother Vegeta and Ahmed. So can we agree, even if you follow the hadith that we shouldn't, that Muslims, we shouldn't as Muslims anywhere in the Ummah be backing children being married or people being married off younger than 17? Being that Prophet Muhammad didn't marry off his children any younger than that, and we're supposed to follow the example via the hadithist concept, etc.
Nah, you see the ayah in the Quran that we just talking about, 4 and 6, Surah Nisa. It says balagh in it, when it reaches puberty, maturity. Sorry, when it reaches maturity. That's the. I mean, we can't put a fixed age on it, because what about she's not fully mature at the age of 17? What about she needs more years? She needs about 21. You get me? So we can't really put a fixed age on it.
I agree with what I'm saying. Like, if we're going to follow the narrative of we have to follow the sunnah of the Prophet, like what he did specifically, should we not all, at the very least, uniformly not marry our daughters off any younger than he did? Does that make sense?
What about, like, we can't do, like, just because the Prophet married his daughter at 17, that I have to wait till she's 17 now. I can marry her when she was 21 or she's 24.
No, I'm with that. I'm saying at the youngest, the youngest, not the oldest, but the youngest, brother.
If you put what about 16?
Okay, so let me try to make that make sense, my brother. All right, so my brother's saying, yeah, if the prophets, if we are saying you're a Sunni Muslim and you follow the sunnah of the Prophet, right? The Prophet's sunnah was to marry his girls or his daughters no younger than the age of 17. So that's the Prophet's sunnah. Shouldn't we as Muslims, I'm saying if you're Muslims, adopt that particular sunnah and only marry your daughters at the minimum of 17? That's a question to you.
No, I hear that, but the ayah in the Quran says.
Can't really argue against that.
We stick to that then, man.
All right, cool. All right, so let's move on, my G.
1 minute, yo. When's your what you call it, sparring with the Tazariak, man? When's that happening? Where's it happening? Sorry.
That should be on Cross the Line, either on ISUPK Radio. I don't know what they're specific. I think it's either Cross the Line on YouTube or ISUPK Radio on YouTube, but that should be happening real soon.
Look, we've got 90. Sorry, we've gone 3 hours deep. You know, with 90 likes, family. 90 likes. I'm glad you guys are actually loving the show. Hit the like button. I'm actually going to spend some time in the comment section right now, unless you guys have got any other questions to ask on this, but what we were speaking about during the show, basically. So I can see you lot going in right now. Like, if you've got a question, right, I'm zooming right in right now. So if you've got any questions, all right, ask it away. All right. All right. So you're all live for the whole world to see right now. So if you've got any questions or there's any topics that you lot are bringing up, please ask away. All right. So see you. You're live. Yo, these questions are messed up in the head. I got a question, Kalam. What's good, Sarah? Talk away. Kiss Spence Productions, baby. Gang, 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 gang. Says Omar. What's good? So we're still waiting. So if you've got it, I'm just waiting for it to come up. I'm giving you guys the priority. I read the books of Ibn Taymiyyah. His beliefs were far away from Sufia. Indeed, brainwashed the mothers to accept the abuse of their kids. What a guy. Okay, come on. Let's go. Hey, Kalam, what's wrong with being Sunni? What's your alternative? There ain't nothing wrong with being Sunni. So, but my alternative is my way of life. My way of life is not going to necessarily be your way of life that you're going to accept and like. So find your own way of life, baby. Find your own way of life. Okay, come on. I'm still waiting. You know, I'm giving you guys the opportunity to drop any questions. And I'm waiting. I'm going to spend another 10 seconds here, and I'm going to go back to the panel while I shut down the show. All right. So Run From Your Wife says here, sugar. Oh, you delete it. Come on. Okay. What woman knows of a 9-year-old that was ready for penetration? And were they themselves as a woman ready for penetration? Good question, B. Good question. Because, boy, I know at 9 years old, I wasn't ready to be daggering any woman. Any evidence that girls matured early? Nope. If you watch the last show on this topic, you will find that there is no evidence at all to suggest that girls were maturing earlier. That's highly impossible. Okay. Question. If I may ask, how authentic is Sahih Albani? Sahih Albani? Okay. If it is authentic, can you explain book 48, 1182? Can you quantify child, adult, girl, woman in Arabic, please? How authentic is Sahih? I don't understand what you're saying here, unfortunately. Are you saying how? I don't know. I don't know what this means, basically. This doesn't make any sense right here. And then you're telling me a book 48, etc., Hadith 1182. I don't know. You have to quote the Hadith. You can be talking
Albani is a Hadith source.
No, Albani is a scholar of like our era who basically reviews hadiths and states whether they're sahih or not, and writes commentaries on it. He's a big boy scholar, but he doesn't have like, he's not a hadith collector of antiquity. All right, let me quickly go through. Okay, let's quickly see. Sorry. Oh, sugar. Have I gone past everything? Okay. Any evidence girls matured early? No, there's none. Okay, good, done with that. Real quickly, any theories about who Urwa was and why he had such a central role in this fabrication? Yeah, Urwa was actually the nephew of Aisha. Like, he was actually a very pivotal figure in history. Like, he was, like, I'll have to do this and show you the political ties. Like, it's a very long one still, very long one. Like, he was part of the Zubairs or the Bakris, depending on how you want to actually title them. And that family, of course, from the family of Abu Bakr, afterwards they had their own caliphate. And, he was actually helping out at one point his brother, who called Abdullah, who actually had a caliphate. After Abdullah actually died, he actually said, you know what, I'm going to work with the other the Umayyads now. And he was very prominent with Abdul Malik. He actually outlived Abdul Malik and worked with other Umayyads as well. So he's very pivotal in terms of writing up the history and quite potentially being a person that wrote history in favor of the Umayyads and in favor of the Bakris, i.e. Aisha and Abu Bakr and so forth. And he narrates a lot of hadiths from Aisha itself, or supposedly from Aisha. And this is one of the reasons why, like, we all know Aisha has been this great scholar. And that could all be politically motivated because they were in a position of power. Whereas we don't really hear from the other wives as prominent as Aisha, maybe because they weren't, the other wives' family members weren't the ones who was writing the history of Islam in the early days. So guess what? You know what they say about the, history is always written by the conquerors. So yeah, these people were on top of the game and they was writing the history for them. Sophia Film says, Times TV, does climate affect age of maturity? It does have small effects on the age of maturity. Yes, it does. So yeah, all right. I think that is about, this is why you need something else. I can't post the hadith. Okay, I apologize. I can't find it for you. All right, so let me quickly go in now to everybody else and see what everybody else is saying. And before I close down the show. So is there anything else that anybody would like to say who hasn't already had their say? Because it's 3 o'clock in the morning, man. I need my bed, man. What are you saying, family? Is there anything that we're going to make mention of? Nothing?
Would these kind of hadiths from Ura likely have been kind of conspired after Aisha has died?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of these hadiths after Aisha's death, a lot of the political motivations, was, you can see in the hadiths themselves. You can literally see there's a lot of the hadiths that is quite fake and false. For example, there is the hadith to say that only Aisha was the one who was able to see the angels. But then you see, like, hold on, there's other wives that saw the angels. Yes, and the angel looked like this, but hold on, that hadith was actually attributed to Salama, not Aisha. So how is it now in Aisha's hadith? That don't make no sense. Other hadiths talking about the dreams that the Prophet had about Aisha clearly another fabrication as well. There's so many different things that were fabrications in the hadiths, created to make Aisha look as this, great individual. And then it's also tied into, Abdullah's claim for Caliph as well. This is all part of it to make sure that that particular family was always seen in a very high esteem. So yeah, there's a lot of political motivations in writing these hadiths. You can see it just by reading them. You can see that they're politically motivated.
Do you think that these motivations are still kind of alive in Salafis today, or do you think kind of they have no reason to try and hold on to these strongly?
No,
in particular,
it's like greatly affected them. Like if you ask them now, like name a wife of the Prophet, they will tell you Aisha. Who's the most, who's the highest wife, or who's the most respected wife? They will all tell you Aisha, Aisha, Aisha. Who's the best, caliph. They'll tell you Abu Bakr. This is all like, it's because this, like you literally got the family members passing out these hadiths, or were the ones who was authorized. Remember, in the early years, like hadiths were not authorized. Like generally speaking, nobody except like you can literally about 3 individuals, Ali, Hammam from what's his name, Abu Huraira. There is a third one. There's only like 3 individuals who actually wrote hadiths. And even then, nobody else were allowed to write hadiths. Like the Prophet said, nah, don't write any hadiths. Don't write any hadiths. The Quran talks about not writing any hadiths. Like the first caliphs was like so against the writing of hadiths. But after the first fitna in the year 61, that's when hadiths really started to creep in, and more hadiths were being produced. And now if you've got like, your family members writing, like they're in charge like of writing hadiths, you're going to make sure that you shine. Like literally the sun is shining from your backside. And you can kind of see it in the hadiths themselves, stemming from Aisha and Abu Bakr.
Yeah. I'm just wondering that Salafis seem to be kind of very invested in kind of defending the Rashidun Caliphate, but less so defending the Umayyad Caliphate. So I'm just wondering if maybe like it's just historical momentum or like inertia that means that they're still kind of defending these, but like the original reason has kind of evaporated. Like, I'm just wondering if maybe that's.
Yeah, so the original like partisan sectarian reason that may have just faded away because you may not be able to. You'll only understand that from the context of the background. But once you're reading the hadiths, you're only reading the hadiths, you won't understand the background. You just read it and you have to believe in it and so forth. So everything else that comes around it, or the historical context, kind of fades away, and you're only, seeing these individuals painted in the best of light. All right, family. Like, all right, we're gonna continue off air, I guess, unless there's any questions. We're gonna continue off air. Why so religious? Go ahead, man. Last question, my brother. Last question.
Okay, so I was thinking of this. So the Quran says inside of it, and this goes to the hadiths, and it goes to the man's previous point about to find out maturity, you have to go to the Tanakh and the Torah or whatever. Inside the Quran, Allah says that He's made His religion easy. What is easy? Especially for nomad, Bedouin, Arab people, or even people in nowadays, of having to learn the Torah, which wasn't in their tongue, and most of them were illiterate, or at least unlettered, as far as Jewish scriptures and Christian scriptures. And then when you bring it to present day, which would be easier for us to have those 3 books together, the Quran, the Torah, and the gospel, and be able to concisely put them into a book, and you could make references and such. But what is easy about 7,000 hadiths, about learning your religion and needing 7,000 hadiths?
Man. There's nothing easy in that at all. That's why that is a later invention into, the so-called religion of Islam. That wasn't obviously in the early years of Islam. As you quite rightly said, the Quran definitely warns away from hadiths. The Prophet itself, inside of the hadiths, warns away from writing hadiths. The main concern was the recordation, or the recitation and the memorization of the Quran itself, because everything was already inside of the Quran. The Sunnah is something that the people practice. Is the amal itself. It's actually the practice.
You actually just made my point, though, if I may, real quick, about what
Yeah.
that guy was saying about having to go back to the Torah. You were saying that the most important part was the resuscitation, the knowledge of the Quran. Well, what would be easy for a bunch of nomadic Arabic people to learn from the Torah and the gospel? All they would be able to learn from is orally, and that's just them taking it on, let's say, how there's Gnostic scriptures that are in the Torah, that are in the Quran, such as Jesus's talking as a young child and at birth, and his mom giving birth at a palm tree and such. So what would be easy for the first Muslims, the first generation of Muslims, to figure out what maturity is, as far as Joseph being 17 when he got the word of from Allah? How would that be easy for them to understand that that's what 65:4 means in the Quran?
Okay.
The question
wouldn't
is not him.
Hold on, my brother. I wouldn't even argue that. Like, that is something one could argue and say, obviously, of course, a lot of them were coming from Christian backgrounds or Jewish backgrounds, or Medina itself was a Jewish hub where these stories and things were just circulating, that they already knew. It was part of the, they was part of the consciousness of the community itself. You can argue and say they already knew this itself. But I wouldn't even go down that route to even have that argument. I would say the people themselves already knew in their minds what maturity was, and they already knew, like, they already had their own practices of urf. It's called urf, part of their culture of what age they already married off their daughters and their sons to one another. So the Quran didn't have to, tell them something that they're already doing. Like, the Quran doesn't need to tell you to take a bath if you're already having and taken baths already. Right, so it was something that was just part of the culture, that was just natural and normal to them, and I always say that unless this is something that's not natural to them, can anybody find anywhere part of the culture that it was a cultural norm for them to marry young girls? You cannot find any hadith, any account that they were marrying at a young age. It's only this rare, strange, weird hadith that talks about Aisha being 9 years of age. The Prophet married her, and even everybody elsewhere, like the Medinians, didn't even accept that. They said, "What? Shut up! We're not listening to that. We're only marrying our daughters after the age of maturity, when they're capable of being mature or being married. At the age of 6 and age of 9, they're not even competent to even consent to marriage." So you'll find Shafi'i school, the Maliki school, Meccans, everywhere else was not doing this practice. It's only this weird, concept that came through via the Kufans in Iraq somewhere.
I don't think you got to the question that I asked. What I was asking was, the person in Arabia who's a nomad, that doesn't mean that they ever were in Mecca, that they were ever in Medina. It just means that they heard the Quran, they learned the Quran, and they never knew of the Torah, and they never knew of the Bible. They never met these Christians. They were formerly idol worshippers. How are they supposed to easily know that maturity is when Joseph received the word from Allah in the Torah at the age of 17?
Again,
if Allah made the religion easy for his people.
Again, I'm not even putting forward that argument. That was the other brother who was a Quranist, right? So I'm not going to even try to justify that for him. I said already, I wouldn't even go down that route and even have that argument. You can successfully have that argument, of course, but I wouldn't even go down that route personally. And the brother is not actually on here for him to, argue that point.
Okay, well, thanks again for having me on this week. I appreciate it, buddy.
That Islam is.
But again, hold on. You lot stay on, right? Because of course we're gonna finish the show, the live show. Of course, everybody's gonna flood in afterwards, and you can come in and we're gonna have all different types of discussions and debates afterwards. So please feel free to stay whilst everybody else does flood in. Vegeta, say your last point before we do close down the show.
Nah, we could talk about it after. I was gonna ask him, where does it say in the Quran that Islam is easy? I just want to see the ayah because I was looking for it, but
okay, cool. Say nothing. Say nothing. So family tree, yeah. Oh sugar. Let me just shout out Priyesh D for actually donating and supporting Times TV. Again, like you guys, yeah, literally make these shows run right now, right? You lot make these shows run. Like right now, I ain't gonna lie to you, yeah. Like I've been lazy, yeah. I'm gonna be saying I'm lazy in the sense that like I haven't published any videos and I actually cut off my subscription to ooh, let me just show you. This is bad of me, you know. This is how you know, yeah, like I've been like slipping and slacking, yeah. You know, people say, oh Kalam, you're doing this all for money. Like right now, yeah, like I haven't even put back on my my Adobe what's that called again? I call it Premiere Pro, but what is it called? The proper name of it. I can't remember anyway. But anyway, my Adobe thingy is like £45, £47 a month. I pay for it on a monthly basis in order to like you know, what's that thing called again? Publish videos or edit videos. One of the things that I'm like, fam, I ain't got time for it, man. I ain't got time for that right now. I really ain't got no time for it. So you know, right now, like, thank you for the £10 donation. For those of you guys who want to donate and want to see stuff up, like, I'll be real with you, yeah. I'm actually secretly, yeah, I'm tired, yeah, of ungrateful people. And I'm gonna be real with you right now. I think it's late in the hours of the night. You know when it's 3 o'clock in the morning, you start to tell the truth. So yeah, I'm actually yeah, Acrobat, I think he says, but it's Adobe. Anyways, yeah, I'm actually tired of ungrateful people and people that love to stain your name and love to make up stuff like you do this for the views, you do this for money and so forth, right? And I'm gonna say, like, you know what? All right, cool. Say nothing in it. Say nothing. You know what I'm gonna do yet? I'm not actually gonna put my own money into this no more. I'm gonna stop. And then let's see if I'm here for the money and here for all these things here, yeah, because sooner or later you're gonna see that there's no more Titans TV publishing videos and publishing all these things here, yeah, because I'm tired of ungrateful people, right? I'm tired of actually me myself having to put money every single month, yeah, losing money, yeah, just to give you guys information for free, right? I'm tired of that. So right about now, I'm slowly taking my time away from Titans TV. Yeah, slowly taking my away from Titans TV, and I'm gonna just like see you guys in it. Like see you guys, like yeah. But anyways, yeah, enough of that. Enough of that. But yeah, I'm tired though. By the way, I'm tired of it. So I'm telling you the truth right now. I'm telling you the truth without any filter. But anyways, family, if you guys would like to join us, yeah, this is what you have to do right here, right? All you have to do is go down to the bottom. There is the link right here, Hangouts, right? Hangouts, right here. Click the link, come in, join us. Before you join us, make sure you hit the like button, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Like, peace and love. And make sure, yeah, go and support, baby. Go and support, right? Go and support Kiss Spence Productions. I already said it to you guys already. Let me see Instagram. Kiss Spence. There you go. There we go. Let me quickly share this. All right. Make sure you cop your stuff, yeah. Kiss Spence Productions. So if you want all that good stuff, yeah, jewelries, t-shirts, jumpers, like all of the bespoke pieces. Let me see. Where's my crown, man? Where's my crown at? Where's my crown at? Oh, that one is looking sick. Yeah, I like this. I like this right here, yeah. Kiss Spence Productions, unique, royal, conscious, reflective clothing and accessories, yeah. Go ahead, make sure you click this link here and make your purchases, yeah. Oh man, it's going down, baby. It's going down. All right, family tree. Let me close down the show and I'll see you guys on the other side. Make sure you hit the link and come in and join us. Peace and love, baby. Peace and love.